Yeah, this is Wild Philosophy. Let's get wild. We're here with Tory Ward. Is it?
Yep.
Or is it Tory Lee Ward?
Tory Ward.
Tory Ward. That's right. How's it going, Tory?
It's going good. How are you?
It's good. It's pretty weird today.
Yeah, it's a weird day.
It's a weird day. I always start off. Is there anything? I usually say in the past 2 weeks, but we could almost say in the past day.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the wildest shit that's been going on with you past 2 weeks?
Oh, I don't have. Can we just get into can we get right into it?
You can if you want to. Whatever you want to do.
I don't care.
This is your episode.
That was crazy. There's a sex offender open micer.
A 5-time sex offender. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pedo.
Yeah. Pedo.
Yeah. And then they had to take down the stuff about him because it's.
Yeah. Well, I think
it's illegal to use information from the sex offender site to harass someone.
Yeah. And I think if you put it in a group, it's considered like a mob, whatever the hell it is, harassment or something.
Yeah. His name was the Doctor of Laughter.
This.
Which is such a pedo name.
God.
You think he'd try to go undercover a little bit.
Well, you think he'd be this is courtesy to my friend Trey Walker, who said you'd think he'd be a pediatrician.
Right. Yeah, that's funny.
But
also I think anybody who calls themselves a doctor and isn't a doctor, like anyone trying to pass as a doctor is a little.
Bro, you know what? What's driving me insane is like the fucking ball. Like let's not even get into the pedophile stuff. What balls do you have to have of okay? I mean, what are the crimes that you could do and do comedy okay? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a shit ton of vandalism in my life. I've done some burglaries. We had Sean Blakely on here who actually can own weapons because he burglarized.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And
wait, like curly hair Sean?
Yeah.
Oh, he burglarized?
Yeah.
Was it like a toy shop? What do you?
I think he broke into someone's trailer and was trying to jack their shit.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think it was in Utah.
That's really funny.
I just love it. I just picture him doing the crab walk in there because he's kind of like he's diet Casey Rocket.
Yeah.
No, I feel bad that Casey Rocket got big because they look so alike. But you're the other Casey Rocket, But yeah, what the fuck? Like, what do you?
Okay. To be fair, maybe I shouldn't open your podcast.
It's up to you.
Defending a pedo. But where do you want him to go? I mean, the comedy clubs are 21 and over. If there's a place for him to be, it's a bar.
Yeah.
I don't think we should push him out. I think we should keep him in there.
You know what? If
some place that's adults only. We're like, no, this is the best environment for you to be. I don't think the comedy club's anywhere close to a school. I think we should put them on we'll keep you in the back, buddy. Do
you think it went to the School of Laughter?
Nah.
Oh man. No, but I get what you're saying. Maybe his career isn't over. You fucking pedophile.
Yeah, it is funny. Anytime he talks about sex on stage, it kills the crowd. Like he gives weird vibe. Mm-hmm. Anytime he talks about sex on stage, everybody gets. Before we knew, everybody gets like.
I'm not joking. Like because I recorded. You record all your sets.
Yeah.
I have some pedophile material.
Yeah.
And I remember him laughing the hardest. And now to me, it's like a Dr. Evil laugh every time I hear that. Yeah. So,
aww.
I mean, and it's like, it's such a fucking weird topic.
Yeah.
Because who do you give? I believe in second chances.
Yeah. Or six chances in his
exactly.
case. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've had 6 chances, bro.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to be around a person like that? I don't know. I don't know, bro. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, that was wild. That was crazy. I had a pedophile bit for a while that I could never get to work. The thing at the end that I think is salvageable, but I can't get it to work.
Do you want to share it or is it?
Yeah, was well, just because you know how there's like crazy right wingers who are like, oh, the queer agenda is to normalize pedophilia or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is, obviously bullshit. But the joke was, the thing I was trying to get to is like, oh, if pedophilia was normalized, or even they were victims, like, oh, you have a condition, whatever, that you can't help. It would be very funny to watch all the white girls try to make it their thing, because they do it with everything else.
Oh, like, yeah.
Well, actually, as a pedophile, and you'd be like, oh my God, Tiffany, no, you're not. Like,
yeah.
But I could never get it to work. Because, one thing is, like, in the cities, you can talk about pedophilia on stage and they don't get weird about it. In the small towns, audiences shut down because they have a lot of it. Like, it's, like, too close to home.
You mean in the city?
No, in like towns, in rural
towns.
areas.
Yeah.
It's really hard to tell pedophile jokes in rural areas.
You know what's really fucking crazy is like I kind of grew up in a fucked up, broken home and shit, and so I think I talked about this before, but it was like I actually was like, God, you're my only hope. Like I was actually religious when I was a kid because I was like I had nobody.
Yeah. And
the weird thing was because my ma couldn't afford therapy, I would just go to the priest and I never got touched.
Yeah.
So my low self-esteem is down because I'm not hot enough.
Right, yeah.
No, but they were actually pretty, but here's what's crazy is I remember I made how they have those like class action lawsuits on Facebook?
Yeah.
There was one about priest diddlers. And they're like, hey, were you ever diddled by a priest?
Did you go in for the cash-in?
I go in on the cash-in on every single one of them, and I get it.
Yeah.
So I knew that I couldn't do it on the priest one, but I was like, I wonder if this is just a fucking money grab, because they have a database. And you know what's fucking nuts? So what people, were you raised Catholic?
No,
So like in Catholicism, there's like a hierarchy of like when you finally become a priest. Like it's like a union, there's an apprenticeship and then there's a journeyman, whatever.
Yeah.
So when you start out like obviously an altar server, then you go into what's called a deacon, which a deacon is like you it's like you're a priest, but you're not really sure if you want to go into the priesthood, so you're allowed to marry type shit.
Okay.
And then eventually become a priest.
Do you get divorced then, or do you?
Well,
are priests celibate?
They can't get a marriage.
Oh, okay.
They can't get married.
Okay.
So most of them have never been married. Mm-hmm. But what I found that's crazy is like we never had any pedophiles where the church that I went to and like the school that I went to that I know of. Because I remember I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, oh, Father Joe is sick today, so we're having this guy fill in. Every single one of those was a pedophile. Oh. Because deacons, they don't become priests because they're fucking too many kids. So they're actually like, oh, we'll move him.
That's who they move around.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're like, oh, he molested somebody at this church.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move him to this church just so that shit dies down.
Yeah.
And then so like when I looked at that database, like there was like at least 8 pedophiles while I was going there. So
we had 2 teachers get popped at my school. We had one of them was my neighbor. He got popped for child porn on his computer. His name was Mr. Humphrey. They both have great names.
Great pedo names.
Great pedo names. It's Mr. Humphrey and Mr. Love was the other one. And okay, so Mr. Humphrey used to give me rides home from school, never made a move. He was always very nervous around me, though.
Yeah.
I remember that. Like nervous laughter.
Did he ever sniff your seat?
I mean, I don't know. I was out of the car. I was a fat kid. I had a hard time looking behind me. Like, I wasn't checking.
I was a fat kid, too, so you could probably smell it from far away. I was a sweaty guy, sweaty little fatty.
And then the other one was Mr. Love.
Yeah.
And I was in love with Mr. Love. Mr. Love was like the hip English teacher in high school. Mm-hmm.
So you're saying it was consensual?
No, well, he never got. I would have. Oh my God, I had such a fucking crush on this guy, and I was like 16, so it was junior year, and he had like the long hair that he'd like always push back like this.
Yeah,
and he was really into.
Was he the art teacher?
No, English teacher. He was really into the beats. He loved like Kerouac and Ken Kesey. Ken Kesey's big in Oregon.
Okay.
And so, and he would always tell us like, oh, in writing and stuff, like, oh, he didn't have a TV, he didn't have a cell phone. He would always tell us like in writing not to use cliches. I remember riding in the car with my dad once and being like, Mr. Love says don't use cliches, and my dad was driving, and I remember my dad yelling, Mr. Love is a cliche, like, because he was. But he got Pops. This is probably 10 years after I was out of school.
Yeah.
For soliciting.
Yeah.
Because it was texting. I feel so bad for the girl. It was a student.
Yeah.
And texting her, and at one point he even texted her like, I've had this with other students, but you're different.
Oh,
like,
boy.
Yeah, total skis boy. Guy. And so he goes to court.
Yeah.
For the like text and stuff. This poor girl, the whole class, because he's like the cool English teacher everybody loves.
Yeah, yeah.
So the whole class shows up to the courtroom.
Okay.
To support him. And he called what was happening to him a crucible, which is very funny. And also in the book, The Crucible, the whole thing is that the main character, John Proctor, was fucking a child. So it like, whatever. So then they all go and they all stand on the courtroom benches and, oh, Captain, my captain, him while he's like testifying. Anyways, and then he wrote a book about the experience, like a Walt Whitman poetry.
Your teacher did?
My teacher did, about like, and it's from this like fuck the man angle, and it's like, who you're the man, you're fucking, who do you think the man is? But this like, fuck the system, fuck the man. Like,
well, we doctors are allowed to write books about this.
Yeah.
Experience.
But yeah, that was crazy, Mr. Love.
Yeah.
He wanted to come to one of my comedy shows.
Oh God, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
How did you feel? Were you getting butterflies in your stomach?
No. Oh, finally, he's reaching out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy because I remember like literally those memes where they show like 90s teachers looking like Rambo. That's what I remember. All 90s teachers to me were gross looking. Like they looked like the Motley Crue member that didn't make the audition.
Yeah.
You know. But
I think you should be any teacher that's like, because he was just so like invested with the students and like so like,
yeah,
no, they're like, people don't give them enough credit, you know, treating them like chill. But the thing is, like, teenagers suck to be around.
Yeah.
So anybody that like, and I feel like this is like priest to anybody that like really wants to be around teenagers, you're like, I think you're trying to fuck that kid. Like, because no person in their right mind is like, oh, I want to hang out with people at their worst age.
Yeah.
You know.
That's why I can't stand, like, I mean, this is just me and I'm going to get a bunch of hate. Like, I can't fucking stand like diehard Michael Jackson fans.
Oh yeah.
You know, because it's literally R. Kelly, except you didn't live long enough to end your trial.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's literally the same thing. Like, and I just, you know, I used to have a bit that I would say, but it would get people real riled up because I'd be like, you know, when Michael Jackson's trial was going on, he was 35. I'm 37. Would you listen? You could set up all the cameras. Let your kids sleep over at my house. Would you let them sleep with? Listen, we're just gonna watch movies and eat snacks.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, it's fucking weird. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah. What do you think about the thing about that his childhood was so fucked up?
I mean,
like he wanted to like give a childhood or whatever.
I mean, I just think it's kind of bullshit because, like, how do I put this? It's like when you're a grown up, you have all the fucking tools to take care of your bullshit. You know, it's kind of like they talk about like break the curse, you know?
Yeah.
My family, just severe depression, severe gossip, severe trash talking. Guys, check out my Facebook. You'll see it all. But I mean, like, we just always like it was just always negative, negative, negative. And I told my brother, I'm like, dude, it ends here. It ends here. You can get therapy. You can get whatever, medication. It's kind of your, like, how do I put this? It's like my mom was just really, really fucked up and abusive till her death. And I was like, Ma, she died from ALS like 2 years ago. And I'm like, you have like a week to live. Don't you want to make like good amends with everybody? She kind of went out like a Nazi. Like, no, I'm gonna be evil till the grave type shit. So, I don't know. I mean, I get like, okay, so he didn't get to have a childhood. It's like, okay, I didn't get to have a dad.
Right.
I'm not going around and hanging out with dudes like, hey, can you treat me like you're my dad and we can like change oil together and stuff.
Right.
Like.
Also, the concept of childhood is pretty new. Like that
everything's seeds in your childhood, like childhood trauma.
No. I mean just the idea of that children are people and deserve childhood. Like kids used to have to like work in factories and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. Just like, well, there's a whole generation of people, like our grandparents.
Yeah.
That didn't really have childhoods. I did this thing. It was cool. My friend, whereas his great grandma, he had me read like these manuscripts of like that his great grandmother wrote, like of like memories of her childhood.
Yeah.
But then he had me like read, so it had a recording of like.
Yeah.
So it would sound like her. I think she was dead, and so he had me read it for his family to have it, and she talks about just like working on the farm and like there were a bunch of them. And then she has a story about one of her sisters just basically they just worked her to death, just like in the winter out working on fences.
Yeah.
And then she died.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, they just worked you to death.
Yeah.
So there's a whole generation of people.
Yeah.
We really like to shit on old people, but like they didn't have childhoods at all. They just worked.
Yeah, I still like to shit on old people. That's me.
I have such a soft spot for oldies.
Like COVID, you let me down. You're supposed to trim the fat.
Oh. I'm like, keep them alive. I love old people.
I do like older people. I just don't like people who are like ignorant to stuff,
Sure, yeah.
Like I don't know, like I can't explain it. It's just there's so many like maybe it's just a lot. I get a lot of bits out of it. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just like I just like for example, my mom, right?
Yeah.
I remember like I mention this a lot. Everybody fucking hears this. Like she used to like tell people that I fake epilepsy for attention.
Okay.
She used to take my pills, so I had more seizures.
Well,
and
you had an abusive
I know.
mom.
Mine's like a very like thing, anecdote. But then I remember one of the most boomer quotes that she ever fucking said.
Yeah.
Was I go, so now that like, cause I was going to therapy and the therapist was like, this is going to be really hard because it's even harder to let go of an abusive person because you're like, it's never going to pay back the abuse that they put on you.
Okay, sure.
Like when you have a loved one, it's sort of like, I did everything I could. We had really good times and they died peacefully or something, With an abusive thing, it's just like, how do you reconcile that,
Okay.
So he sort of told me, he's like, you got like all three bases that you need to cover, which is like, did you like help them as much as you can with their illness? Did you spend time with them? The second base. And the third base is like, is there any forgiveness and like redemption,
Yeah.
And I asked her, I'm like, Ma, like, are you sorry for any of this shit that you did? And she literally said, she goes, how about all the money in the bank that you're going to get when I die? How's that for a sorry?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if that's a sorry, you could deposit it right now.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you wait till I die. It's like, that's the most boomer shit I ever, because that's the thing is like, you never hear that generation apologize. It's like, I feel like that boomer, they're all about like, men used to be men and like you were the man of the house and we take accountability, but you don't take accountability.
Yeah.
Like you fucked up the economy. but you don't take accountability.
Yeah.
Like, I was actually friends with when I worked at a library for a little moment of time because I had a college degree, but I realized I made more money welding.
Yeah.
So I worked at a library, and I became friends with the president. He was a cool guy. I mean, he was best friends with Stan Lee.
Okay, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he made comics himself. He was the editor of like a big food magazine in Chicago.
Yeah.
And like I can't explain it. Like I'm not political, but I feel like liberal boomers are like, we did this whole revolution thing. It's like I do a joke about it. It's like, you think people got riled up and rapey in Woodstock 99? Bro, in Woodstock in the 60s, it was normal to be rapey.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, now I'm going to drive a Prius with a coexist sticker to make up for all that.
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't know, man.
I wonder if with age I don't know. I think my thing with boomers is that everybody, it feels like there was an episode of some podcast I was listening to, and I thought it was going to be about whether or not we should be blaming boomers.
Yeah.
But it was more like, well, are the Republicans right or the Democrats right? Because they both blame boomers for everything.
Yeah. That's
for
what
different reasons. And I'm like, okay, well, then maybe it's kind of bullshit because you guys are making opposite arguments, but you're demonizing. I don't know. I just don't. I feel I don't know. Maybe it's because you have a dead abusive mom and I have a dead very sweet dad.
Yeah.
And so
I know. Yeah.
So you're like, fuck this generation. And I'm like, no, we got it.
I'm glad you're blunt about it. I need to be put in my place. Like,
well, I feel sometimes like the only like what because like they're so easy to shit on, and I'm like, and they're like, oh, they voted for Reagan. I'm like, well, you could say just as easily that everybody alive today voted for Trump, but we didn't all.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
you know what it is to me? It's sort of like, I just had a point, but my ADHD is going wild. You know what it's like? It's like, okay, it's a certain sect of them where, like, you know what it is like, I feel like there's a certain word that identifies each person, I guess you would say, in the sense of like, to me, America, the one word that defines America is pride. Okay. Everybody is super fucking proud.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite of like Asian cultures because of all the religions. It's about being humble.
Right.
You know? And so, or for example, like I heard like, during World War II, Poland was literally like, even to this day, they're considered the most generous country. Because it doesn't matter what you fucking do, they're always willing to like house you, like with this Ukrainian situation, all the Ukraine, And so like because of that pride issue, I'm like, yeah, I do feel bad for certain, but obviously you don't want to blanket everybody in that, non-caring scenario or whatever. But at the same time, I can't stand when people are like, how the fuck, like where I was working at before, this guy was like, he's like, man, you know what? I started at this company when I was 16 and now I'm like I'm right underneath the CEO. I'm like, because work culture changed, bro.
Yeah.
Or they're like, how do you not own your own house at 20 type shit.
Yeah.
It's like I guess the ones who like punch down.
Right, sure.
Because it's like, bro, if I had your privileges, I'd have 4 houses with like the amount of work that I'm doing, you know? So, I don't know.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I had something I was going to say and I don't remember what it was. I have no recollection.
To break the ice on this whole fucking pedophile situation, I just want to say,
let's go back to a more comfortable subject.
Yeah.
A less contentious subject.
Yeah. Because everybody, my phone is going off right now. I had to turn off notification about, you're fucking going after, so-and-so. Because here's what's funny. This fucking pedophile offender got called out by another comedian. I don't know if she wants to be mentioned, right?
Yeah.
And then I made a joke. I'm like, all right, guys, let's place bets. I bet this motherfucker has dirt on him.
Yeah.
And then I'm bored at work. Like, I literally did it as a joke. I could have been like, yeah, I bet you Tory's definitely the biggest female suspect for being a pedophile.
Sure,
you know? Yeah. And Like, I'm bored. I'm like, I wonder. And then I look it up. It's like 5 domestic abuse,
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, which one is worse,
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. Like,
I think the pedophile probably.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you know
if
what?
he didn't hit him?
Well, I had a friend who's like, domestic battery could be like he beat the shit out of his parents. And I'm just like, well, does that make it better?
No, that's awful.
Like, like if you're old, just move out.
Yeah.
Why do you keep staying beating the fuck out of your parents? That's why I'm like, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
It was his parents.
Yeah.
Maybe once, And it's just like, who the fuck? Like, listen, like,
dude, comedy is, especially I feel like it like the. Well, no, I don't know, because comedy's such a seedy place.
yeah.
Like it's such a.
You know what? A lot of people are talking about this, and I want to mention this because I know this. I'm never fucking cocky, but I know fucking this. And what I'm about to say is this. All these people talking about like cancel culture and shit. You know what's like the best quote that I ever heard was, nobody gets canceled for their content. Nobody.
Yeah.
They even wanted Kramer to come back, and he's such an anxious fucking like emotional wreck.
He was in an episode of Curb.
Yeah, but they were asking him like, why don't you come back? And he's like, I just feel too guilty. It's like, bro, you sucked at stand up.
Yeah.
He played like that's why he didn't come back. He actually did suck. He played the same. I was not a Kramer fan. I was a George fan.
Yeah.
And Kramer played the same character in every fucking thing that he was.
Yeah.
He was basically the Jewish Chevy Chase, where he's just falling all the time and getting head injuries.
Yeah.
So
I feel like people got canceled in like the 2020s. I think one thing is that they say that like, oh, cancel culture isn't real because people that are rich and famous and powerful don't get canceled. People try to cancel them, but they don't but it's because they're rich.
Yeah.
But like people were getting in 2020, the number of people that you would see that got like fired over a tweet or a video of them in public, that who knows what the context is. Like I was reading an account of a guy who somebody took a video of him making the the OK symbol that was like the white power symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he didn't know, so literally a car drove up next to him and was making it, and then he made it back. He didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But they filmed him doing that and then put it online, and then the guy loses his job. He doesn't know why he's lost his job. Also, he's like Mexican, so he walks in and it's all like white executives.
Yeah, that stuff is stupid.
Firing. It's all the and then people act like, well, that's not, what does that have to do with freedom of speech or whatever? But it's like, yeah, but we live in a country where if you don't have a job, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like you're homeless.
I do think it's fucked up when it affects.
I think little people get canceled and nobody gives a shit. And then like rich, famous people bounce back because they're rich and famous. They can.
Yeah, yeah. I was just like referring to comedy. Like,
yeah.
Like comedy specifically.
Yeah.
Like people are like, oh, does that mean you're allowed to say whatever the fuck you want? If it's funny.
Yeah.
I in my opinion, yeah.
Yeah.
Really, yeah. Because if I'm like that Mel Gibson shit, I think he was calling like Jews oven dodgers. If I did that shit, like, I'm gonna tell you some wild shit I found out about Holocaust survivors in my family.
Okay.
So, but if I did that shit, like say on stage, yes, I am allowed to because I am a comedian, and not only that, if you're at an open mic, you're basically scrimmaging. You know what I mean? Like you're practicing for the game.
Yeah, that's something I remember in Portland.
What I'm saying is there's a difference between making something to be funny, and there's a difference between a person who's actually a horrendous piece of shit outside, like off the stage. You know?
Yeah, I think you should say whatever you want on. Like we're just trying stuff, especially at the mic level, and I don't because I used to hear this a lot with the well, as long as it's funny enough. And it's like, yeah, but the thing with you don't know if it's funny till you say it. I mean, we've all said like shit in our cars and been like, oh, this is going to crush. And then you get on stage and it's crickets, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, that's what open mics are for. You don't know if it's going to work or not.
Well, you know what started this off, and I don't even know if she wants her name mentioned, but you heard about the comedian who got like, she posted like she got sexually assaulted or whatever recently.
No,
Yeah, she posted this thing.
Is this like a big comedian or like a local? I don't know any of the local.
She's a local, yeah.
Okay.
And the person that assaulted her is like a bigger local, like an actual established local.
Yeah.
And I was telling her, like, here's what my thing is. I have real bro comedy. I have real bro energy.
Yeah.
And I used to be that guy that was kind of like boomer logic of victim blaming, you know, until like I got a stalker where I did it. Like I was doing an open mic, and it's weird because dudes have the power and like to overpower women, right?
Yeah.
Like sexual advances or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And basically what happened is like I ran this mic for a year, and there was this old lady who's like she looked like Judi Dench with brown teeth.
Yeah.
And she was gross, and like she started like every time she saw me she'd like try to make out with me and say, "Oh, you're here." And I'm just like this is kind of funny for me. But probably because I'm a dude, number one. And number two.
Oh, you're not actually like afraid for your.
Yeah, I'm not afraid for myself. That's what I'm saying. But then I thought to myself, I'm like, holy fuck. This is what chicks go through every fucking mic.
Yeah.
This is every mic. Some dude grabs your ass, and then however that turns out, whether you report him or you don't, you have to see that motherfucker every mic.
Yeah.
Because that's what being a comedian is. You're going to see that motherfucker, and that's just like, that's shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think...
And if dudes don't understand it, picture if there was like a rapey, I don't know, like gay dude that reached in your pants and grabbed your dick every time.
That dudes, because that is something that dudes say that they don't get it. The same dudes that say they don't get it are the same dudes that flip out if a guy makes an advance at them.
Yeah.
And it's like... What do you mean you don't get it? You're freaking out. That's the same thing.
Yeah, it really is.
It's the same. It's this. Yeah.
Let me finger your asshole every time I see you, like my guy dudes. Like, let me fucking do that, and we'll see. And then I'm gonna see you at the next mic and be like, oh, hey, remember when I fingered your asshole? You know?
Yeah.
Like that's. I didn't realize it until like it happened to me.
Yeah.
Which is not so much because I'm ignorant. It's just like I had so much fucked up shit happen to me that I don't really trust outside sources. I kind of like do things anecdotally.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. That's why I was talking to this comedian, this girl that got assaulted, and I was just like, maybe we just need to make a fucking list. And I hate it because I kind of I should just focus on my comedy, just me moving up, you know?
Yeah.
Like how do I put this? Like I'm not political. I don't want to be that woke dude that's calling motherfuckers out. And so not that I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's fucking weird. You know what I mean? Like there's just enough drama already than for me to have to be like, oh yeah, dude, that guy, yeah, he's going to call you out about everything. Like I don't want to be that, because for anybody who knows my comedy, they'd be like, how the fuck did he not get canceled? You know?
Right, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is it's the content. And that's the way that you know what I told somebody recently? Like I'm going to Arkansas on a tour with Trey Walker. Right. I just met him at a mic. Right. And I was telling him, he's like, oh, man, like, you know, when I first met you and how you looked, I was like, yeah, this guy might be a little bit racist or whatever because of how I look. And I just said it real nicely. I'm just like, you know, I look like a grizzly bear, but I'm actually more like a Pooh bear. To be honest. Yeah. Because it's all about jokes to me. And here's something. I'm sorry I'm rambling. But
ramble.
Like. The way that I looked at when I got into comedy, I remember one of my favorite comedians, Dan McCarty, told me, he said the number one, he's a local comedian. He just told me, he goes, Phil, every fucking time that you ever feel bad about your comedy, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And is this fun? And to me, what I had to realize was, like the shit that I went through, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
I got abused by my parents. I got kidnapped. I got into fights.
You got kidnapped?
Yeah.
How old were you?
I think 12.
Oh
yeah.
My God.
And so what I'm saying is like the first thing I had to accept is like somebody with that experience is not going to have the same like humor as like Jim Gaffigan. I'm going to be closer to like Big J, or like I don't even know who to compare to.
You know, that's something I try to reconcile too, because I think it is an easier path if you're cleaner, and I did a clean show recently and it went fine.
Yeah.
But they were all jokes that I kind of hate telling.
Yeah.
And but then I was like driving home, and then I was thinking about, okay, well then now I can think about other clean ideas, or I could work on these jokes, and it doesn't quite excite me in the same way, but this, like, if I want to be a working comedian, this is a path. But then it's also like I do sometimes get kind of pissed off at the idea of like, well, clean is for everyone, and then edgy or whatever, like, and it's like, but clean isn't for everyone, because I sit and I watch a clean comic and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can see why it's funny, but it doesn't I'm not like dying.
I think that's the older generation.
I feel like I don't think so, because I think there's a lot of younger people that were, I mean, the biggest touring comic right now is Nate Bargatze. Like, I think that there's a
well, no, I'm not talking about like shitting on older people. I'm saying like the trend.
Yeah.
Because like, you know what I was talking about with my brother the other day, because my brother's a school teacher, and he was like, it blows his mind that like my brother has severe anxiety.
Yeah.
And like we had a lot of deaths we had 5 people die in our family in 1 year in 2020. So, and it really affected him, and I coped with it with comedy. So he's like, you know, I'm going through all this shit outside, like personally, and then he's like, I tried to watch something like Squid Games, and it was too much anxiety for me. He couldn't fucking watch Squid Games, but he's like, holy shit, there's 10-year-olds dressing up as the Squid Games guards.
Yeah.
And so that to me, when you talk about like clean comedy, I think that dirty comedy is becoming the norm.
You think so?
I think so, because you know what I call this generation? The generation of transparency. People are fucking pissed that you could go up and look up these fucking pedophiles' mugshots.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's getting called out.
Yeah.
And so I think that, like, you know, like, for example, like, I was in a class and they were like, yeah, Phil, why don't you stick to marriage comedy? Like, it doesn't mean that it has to be clean, but it's more relatable. And so I was doing marriage stuff, and I'm just like, I like to talk about stuff that people don't like to talk about.
Yeah.
So what I was talking about is, I was like, man, you know what? My wife, like, I remember one morning she was taking a dump, but she was naked. So I was like, man, I should beat off to this. And then I walked in there and I saw how it smelled, and man, I couldn't finish. You know, just like a little bit gross and dirty, but it's just like, I guarantee everybody goes through that in a marriage, you know? It's maybe not to whatever, you know, like the norms, clean standards or whatever, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I just I don't know where we were going with this, but
clean versus dirty. Dirty comedy. And there is clean comedy that I like, but I just feel like it's to say the idea that if it's not provocative, it's for everyone, I feel like is like really is like feels like it just ignores people that sometimes some people need things to be a little provocative to find them funny for whatever reason. You know? And so I don't know. I think it's just as valid. I think both are equally valid. They're just preferences.
Yeah. And like the topics that I'd cover, like, you know, a relative that died that I didn't give a fuck about, so it was more like a celebration of death than a celebration of life, you know? Yeah. I've had people come up to me and be like, bro, I went through the same thing. Yeah. I'm glad that you came out with that, because people are like always like, you know, I remember now where this started off. We were talking about, so what I was talking about is basically like how, like with cancel culture, because of my topics, I will have like really fucking stupid redneck Republican type dudes be like, oh man, I can't believe you said that. I thought you'd get canceled for that. And it's just like, no, because it's funny. I made it funny, and I'm not punching down. Yeah. That's why I could say that shit. Like it's at the end of the day, it's too many people watching Fox News and too many people watching CNN. That's really what it is. Yeah. You're letting the media like form your opinion of what the real world is when it isn't.
And not just existing in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I want to try to focus my comedy on things I actually observe and stuff. Because another thing too is just originality. Because like we consume so much media that then you kind of just end up commenting on the world, but it's not really the world. You're commenting on what you're seeing on screens, and we're all and it's like, I feel like if you want to actually be fresh and refreshing and honest in your comedy, I'm trying to. I'm not very successful, but this is gonna sound really stupid, but like, I really want to start like just like journaling actual interactions that I'm having and actual observations I'm making of like real exchanges and real things that are happening to me. And if AI becomes a comedian, which is whatever, you know, people say that like, oh, what if AI it's like, well, it's just fed online. It's just fed things that exist online. It's not living in the world.
I was just like, I was riled up today because I was thinking about like, I've had a few, I'm not going to name them, but I've had dudes reach out to me like, why the fuck are you calling this guy out? Why are you? And I'm like, it literally started from a joke. Yeah. And then we looked up his actual record. And from that point, I'm not doing anything. I'm not really, I call out everybody. I love fucking calling people out. That's my thing. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, okay, we're in a room with somebody who fucked a child or who tried to fuck a child. Are you okay with that? That's your freedom on whether or not you want to be okay with that.
Yeah.
You know? So me? No, I don't want to book. I don't want to give opportunities for people like that.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm sorry. Like,
that's crazy. Okay.
So
what's the next? What's another crazy thing that's happening?
What's some wild shit? Yeah, let's move on, right? So I had RSV for.
What's RSV?
It's respiratory something virus. And it's basically like COVID on steroids, bro.
Okay.
Oh my fucking God. So I don't really so you know what sucks is like I had an infection in my lungs 2 weeks before I got RSV. So my immune system was down.
Yeah.
And this is a really fucking gross story. But what happened is, so I work at a carpet shop, and around Christmas is the slowest fucking season because nobody wants to get carpet installed right before they're gonna wrap open presents and shit. Well, like normally my job, they won't do. If it ain't a room bigger than like half a football field, they're just like, we're not gonna make money.
Yeah.
This time they're like, yo, Phil, you're gonna go to all these. You're gonna be replacing area rugs, which is like this, like 12 by 6. You're just gonna go to the house, replace their area rug, and because we have no work. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I go to this old lady's house, and he's like, yeah, you're just gonna go there. You're gonna bring the new one, and she paid. Most people don't pay for pickup. That's what was odd. Most people don't pay for pickup because they're like, I'm not paying $50 extra when I could just throw this in the garbage. Well, I went to this old lady, and when you transport carpet, you want to roll it up like a fucking joint to fit in the car. I show up at this lady's house. I'm like, why is it rolled up like this? Like you could roll a basketball through it. Why isn't it tight? And then I saw, I'm like, oh, she's 90 years old.
Sure, yeah.
She didn't have the strength to roll. And then I start rolling it. Bro, it was like an egg roll. It was so crunchy.
Oh, gross.
And you know what happened? Her dog died on it, and she thought it was just like sleeping for 7 days. So
that's so sad. And also, it was full of dog juice?
Yeah, it was full of dog juice. And I breathed that shit in. So I was like, I'm going to be barking on stage because I got Rover's ghost in me, you know? So I got like a bit of a lung infection there. But then I went with my buddy Brian Miklas. He's usually, you know Brian. I'm sure you've seen Brian.
I think so.
He, we had a show that I got him on in Indiana. I met a guy in North Carolina Fest, Eric Hook. Shout out to Eric. Who he's like, I run a show in Bloomington, Indiana. We went out there. When we started driving, my voice sounded like this. when we got done with the mic, Brian was like, "What the fuck is happening?" Because I sounded like RFK. Like,
yeah.
It was closing up, and it literally like destroyed my Christmas vacation. I was unbelievably fatigued. Like I had they call it popcorn lung for the vaping.
Okay.
And it's like literally like I went to a urgent care. He didn't even put the stethoscope to me. He's like, "Can you take a deep breath?" And it was just like like,
oh my God. And it was from the dog juice?
No. This time I actually caught it. We had a Christmas party at my work, and it was just like it was just like the trending sickness. You know, I mean, when people had COVID, or when people like they had that norovirus, you know, where they're shitting their brains out.
Yeah.
Like RSV was making its rounds. I think Tina Yukana had it. Yeah, she runs a mic in Reggie's. Like,
yeah.
There was just so many fucking people had, and it was just, I was just like, I didn't have energy. I was so pissed because I like paid for CrossFit a year in advance. I'm supposed to be going every day.
How long were you out for?
It was literally, I think, like a little under a month, like 3 weeks.
Whoa.
And I was.
And
out
you're
of,
not contagious now?
No. I was good like maybe a week and a half ago, but it was driving me nuts to not go to Mike's.
Yeah.
You know, and but yeah, I was just coughing up phlegm every fucking day, out of energy, and you know what was the scariest part was when there was like right in the middle where, like, you know how they say like when stuff is healing, it's when it hurts the most.
Yeah.
I would sneeze and I get this sharp fucking pain up from my right bicep, up my shoulder, across my shoulder blades to my left bicep. Just like this sharp fucking pain. And my paranoid Polak ass is going on Google looking up like
heart attacks?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'd be doing the same thing.
And then my wife was going off on me. She's like, "I knew it was the cigars." And then when I found out it was RSV, I'm like, I'm having a celebratory cigar.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was scary.
That's crazy. I got the sickest and I'm trying to think. Oh man, I got COVID when it was the second round. So I had been vaccinated.
Yeah.
But I hadn't gotten the booster. And so it was the second round, the Omicron, that was like twice as contagious. And you could get it even if you were vaccinated and all this stuff. So I gotten vaccinated, and then I went to Miami with a friend, and it wasn't at a time. It was at a time when like everything had opened back up.
Yeah.
But it was like kind of be cautious a little bit, you know, and you had to show your vax cards and stuff. But so then I came back from Miami and gave it to just everybody, and I had to tell everybody that I had given them COVID.
You're just making out with everyone?
Yeah, I did a sex show. It was at a sex club. I did a show at a sex club, and I was the one that gave everybody the fucking disease at the sex club. But man, it sucked because people didn't know about Omicron yet, so everybody just thought I wasn't vaccinated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I just, from friends, I just had all these terrible, just passive aggressive. Nobody asked how I was. Everybody was just mad at me.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I didn't do, you guys, no, you're uninformed. There's a new variant. You don't know.
Yeah.
But, I was like a pariah. Well, for like a week. And then everybody got it because that's what that wave. Yeah. That was the second wave of COVID when everybody got it. But
I am such a dick because, like, with COVID, I was like, okay, with this Indiana show, I could be like, hey guys, I had COVID, just letting you know. And then when I realized like how much it hurt, and then it was a month long, I'm like, I kind of don't want to tell anybody. Yeah. Because they're gonna, like, if they're already mad at COVID, somebody might die from what I had.
Yeah, I had it. And I was in Miami. The last day in Miami, I started getting symptoms. I had a lower back pain, which was weird, but that variant had a lower back pain. But I had this personal trainer. I was going to this boxing gym in Miami, and I had this personal trainer that was so hot. And so I had COVID.
Was it Mr. Love?
I didn't know. But I had I didn't know I had COVID, but I had COVID, and we had like an hour and a half session, and I did so many burpees with COVID trying to impress this 25-year-old.
Burpees are so annoying, bro. I fucked up my knee because I kept landing on my knees, and I don't know, maybe it's from being in a Catholic school. You land on your knees.
Yeah.
In every way you could imagine. Oh, but here, let me just double check this is recording okay.
Okay.
Because last time I didn't empty my trash on my phone and it just cut off. Like the audio will never cut off, but sometimes the video. Because anyways, no. So here's some other wild shit that I found out during RSV. So my wife was like so concerned because I was ready to go. There was the day that I was sneezing and it was hurting. I was ready to go to the ER. The other so here's what happened is like my wife was like, listen, just you have to rest because I don't fucking rest. It's like, okay, I got to write a new album. Or I got to do my podcast, or I got to write music, or I got to do sketches. Like I'm always fucking like I got to do something. I have the Kanye mania without all the bad, things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's why I called myself Wild Phil. I'm in denial of having mania constantly. But yeah, my wife was like, just rest and spoil yourself. Just eat junk food, relax, watch whatever relaxes you. And then she comes home, and I like made this into a bit because she's like, why is the Netflix history like 8 hours of Nazi documentaries? And I really got into it because
into Nazis?
Well, like the history, because what's crazy is I went to the concentration camp museum when I was in 3rd grade.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of my bit. I'm like, some people get Disneyland, Disney World.
Yeah, sure.
I get a death camp. You know? And so part of, how I said like half my family died off in 2020?
Yeah.
My dad was one of them, and I never really went through his shit. I never really went through his stuff, and I remembered that we had Holocaust survivors. So I'm going through his stuff, and I found a Holocaust bracelet, and I didn't know what the other thing was. It was like a metal name tag. So picture like I'm trying to think of like what's a good example of like it's like a metal name tag with like 2 little like spot welded screws.
Okay.
And I didn't know what it was. I found out that it was for a cigarette case.
Yeah.
And what it had on there was like, so Jews in the Holocaust, they would have the star. And here's the reason why I was confused was because they had symbols for every race in the concentration camp. And so for Polish people, it's an upside down red triangle with a P. And the reason why they had that was like for Jews, the star, it was like, okay, we're going to work you till you're fucking dead, but we're also allowed to torture you to death. For Polish people, it was like, no, we're not going to kill them off. They're just worker slaves.
Okay.
And so I found this like bracelet where it had the P and then it had a number. So while I had this RSV, what's crazy is they gave me 3 antibiotics and an inhaler. The inhaler was basically like a mist of adrenaline. So I was getting very little sleep because like I couldn't sleep because I kept coughing. So then I take the inhaler and then like I'm up for 7 hours. That's why I'm watching. That's why I was watching Nazi documentaries. Okay, so they did meth too. I was getting in the mode. So
and you were collecting the memorabilia because you like fun stuff.
Yeah, that's what it is.
The color scheme, yeah.
It's like collecting Disney souvenirs,
Yeah.
So I when I'm like one of these nights I couldn't sleep and I go down this rabbit hole of there's like a archive of Holocaust survivors, and I literally just looked up the number, and it had everything.
So crazy.
It had everything.
Wow.
It had a picture of my grandfather.
Oh my God.
In the striped pajamas.
Yeah.
It had a picture of him. It had all his papers, all his Holocaust papers, like his entrance, his doctor papers, like everything.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is like this is such a white thing to do because it's like, when like a white person does something black, so they just ask their first black friend, is this okay?
Yeah.
Because you're the representative of all your black people.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So I just asked like my bestest Jewish friend.
Yeah.
I'm like, so dude, I kind of want to get this tattooed on me. Do you think that'd be cool? And he's like, dude, that's like a black dude wearing shackles for jewelry. Because
that does though seem like a valid thing to ask a Jewish person, because it is like, no, this is like your hit, like,
yeah,
this you would know about how this history is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, so I still want to get it because to me it's like this. First of all, I'm Wild Phil, so I'm going to do fucking wild shit. The secondly though, like to me it's like having his number on me is like, okay, any bullshit that I've ever gone through, whether it's kidnapped, whether it's fights, whether it's fucking having deaths in the family, I'm like, bro, this motherfucker was in a death camp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the other thing to me was like, you know, Germans did that to dehumanize people. Like you're a number, like in the Matrix.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah.
So that's why it's kind of like, is this offensive? But to me, it's like, bro, guess what? I got this number on me because you motherfuckers lost because Germans suck in war.
Yeah, well, it's also your family member.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like it's your family, and you have tattoos, so it's not like it's the only tattoo you have on you.
Yeah, yeah. You know what else is nuts though? I said this on another podcast, but this is wild. Like, because a lot of I think like 90% of the death camps were in Poland.
Yeah.
So, I feel like such an intellectual after watching these documentaries. No, but like, because 90% of them, there's a shit ton of Polish people who just have like Nazi memorabilia. And you know what's fucking nuts is like, my family knew I was wild since I came out of my ma's gash. Like they knew something was fucking wrong with me. And so my uncle, he was a jeweler. And do you know what a confirmation is?
Maybe.
It's like, so there's like a communion is in second grade.
Okay.
First communion. And that's where you eat the Jesus chips, you know?
Okay, yeah.
And then like 8th grade confirmation is, by the way, even though we keep talking about Catholicism, I'm not like religious.
Okay.
But like in 8th grade, you pick like a saint's name to be your middle name. And then like they do this like you get either like a necklace or something. I don't even remember because honestly, all my religious jewelry I melted down into grills. I have grills made out of all my religious jewelry.
Really?
Yeah. But
do you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't worn them in a while because your teeth shift, so my teeth would crack if I tried to snap them back in.
Yeah.
But so my uncle, who was a jeweler, he knew that I was fucking insane. I mean, he took me to my first concert, and it was Megadeth and Slayer in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So he's like, you know what this fucking crazy little shithead is going to like? He gave me an SS ring in 8th grade.
That's insane.
And
did you wear it?
No, I would never fucking wear it. I just kind of kept it because I was like, this is kind of, I can't explain the allure of World War II. It's especially if you're into metal music. Metal music is like, what is the evilest shit you can think of? And that's it. So to me, it was like, oh, this is, it would be like having, I don't know, John Wayne Gacy's knife or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just kept this thing. And you know what's fucking crazy is that I didn't even know this, but you know how a locket has like a little opening?
Uh-huh.
Like when you get like a Valentine's, there's like a locket and there's 2 pictures in there. This ring had a locket and I didn't know what the fuck it was. And I had like, so
what was in it?
So it was, nothing was in it, but I didn't know what it was for. And you know what it was for? It was because all
Jew teeth?
No, Jew teeth. Yeah. No, it's even more evil than that. It was that like Nazis were like, I will not die without my pride. So that's where you kept your cyanide. So that if you were ever like apprehended by the Allies,
sure, yeah.
you'd die by suicide, which I thought was fucking crazy.
So dark. It's
Yeah.
all so dark.
But that's why like I had that, and I even had these it was a doctor, you know when you get like a doctor form for work? Mm-hmm. There was a doctor form that was stamped with Heinrich Himmler's autograph.
Yeah.
And I had that, but I got rid of that and the ring because I was like, I don't want to have Nazi shit. Like even my wife is like, this is like bad.
Yeah.
Jew
Yeah.
to have in the house.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Like so I got rid of that shit, but then I was like this stuff with my grandfather.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's like personal history.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was some wild shit to fucking figure out. You
Yeah.
know, like,
that's wild.
So yeah, some crazy shit to figure out while you're sick. Should we move along on my list?
Yeah. What's next?
What's next?
We've done Nazis, pedophiles. What's next?
Okay.
I think it's kind of funny. Okay, so this is I just think it's funny because you were like, oh, do you want to do my podcast? And I was like, yeah, of course. And then you're like, okay, cool. The studio's in my base, so it's in my basement. There's cats, but it's okay because I can give you a pill for the thing. Yeah. and I just think it'd be so funny if you were like, so the topics are Nazis, pedophiles. Sorry,
yeah.
I just think it's funny.
Yeah.
What's next on the thing?
Yeah. Well, the reason why is because like my wife and I, we throw like every 3 months we'll have like board game parties or like a rock band party.
Yeah.
And like there will be people who are allergic that we got. I forgot what it's called. Is it like Dramamine?
Yeah,
or something?
Yeah. Or is it like Benadryl?
Yeah, it's
okay,
Benadryl.
Yeah.
Benadryl. Dramamine's vertigo, I think. But
yeah, it's like motion sickness.
Yeah, so we give that to because we have 3 cats.
Yeah.
Right? But so next thing that's nuts.
I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Holic. Okay, wait. Let's see.
This is what I was gonna say next. So this is. I don't know how to say it. This is so fucking weird. I am such a Pooh Bear that I literally thought what happened fell under cheating, that I couldn't sleep, and I was like,
what did you do?
Okay, I literally I don't even know if I should mention like I don't think she'll cheat because I blocked this bitch, but I used to know like this really slutty punk rock chick.
Okay.
And I'm Polish. I don't have a lot of friends in general, let alone Polish friends. And so, you stick together, whatever, because like English was my second language and shit.
Okay.
So
I'm already loving I'm Polish as a defense for whatever it is that's Listen, no, okay. So there's this girl, she's posting pictures of her pussy, but look, she's Polish. I don't know any Poles.
Yeah. And I'm kind of a pussy and I'm Polish, And I have 3 pussies,
Yeah.
But no, so like she messaged me out of nowhere and was like, she's like, I just got to tell you, like, you're incredibly fucking talented. Like, it's amazing. Because I also released a music album 2 days ago.
Okay.
So she's like, you're fucking doing music. You're doing comedy. And I fucking love that a lot of your comedy, you have, like, Polish content. Because Polish people don't like to laugh. There's no, like, how many, like, Mexican comedians pull the Mexican card? How many black comedians call a black card? Like, there's no Polish comedians. And so that's like kind of what I want to do. And she's like, I just think that's fucking awesome, and I needed to. And it meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't get a lot of validation, like people telling me, like, dude, you're doing a great job. You got better. You know. And so, like, I was like, thank you, whatever that means a lot. How have you been doing? Like, just random small talk that I would have with anybody. It's like it went from the conversation I would have with a bro of mine to like. She immediately goes, well, my tits need some attention.
Okay.
And I'm just, and I'm a comedian, so I immediately turned it into like, oh, you mean like medical attention? What are those cancer floppers doing,
Sure.
Like, I was just joking around, and like immediately right after, full nude pic. And I was just like, oh my God, like, I'm like, okay, so what's, all right. Well, I can look, but I can't do anything else. And she's like, why can't you do anything else? I'm like, well, I'm married,
Okay.
And I'm just like, I can play Where's Waldo with your clit with this picture, but that's about it. And she's like, holy fuck, you're married? I'm so sorry. I didn't know this. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to stop talking now, because it's just like, I just felt so guilty.
Did you tell your wife about it?
Yeah, I had to. But you know what though? Like I felt.
It sounds like everybody in this interaction is no. It doesn't sound like there's bad players. She didn't know you were married.
Exactly. Yeah.
She was just being nice. She wanted to show. She wanted to show you were. As soon as she found out you were married, she apologized.
Mm-hmm.
It just sounds like miscommunicate. You told your wife right away.
Yeah, yeah. You know what it is? It's I just like growing like the home that I grew up in. Like I have severe guilt.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was just like there's that meme that like every dude just stares at the ceiling like, am I making enough money? Is my family gonna be there? I'm just staring at the ceiling like thinking of how easily I could have just ruined what I have right now.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't know, man. See, okay, that's a part of like some boomers that I don't understand because I work with a bunch of Italian old folk and they're just like, there's Phil, you should have gotten more pics, get some fucking tits,
Yeah.
and it's just like, dude, like, I don't fucking care what anybody thinks. Cheating is the fucking worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
It literally is the worst thing you can do, and it's not even like, yeah, I got cheated on once. And I didn't really care because it was like going towards a breakup. It was kind of like good closure, But to me, it's just like you could so easily just break up and go on to the next.
Yeah.
How hard is it to say, yeah, this isn't working out? You know what I mean? That's why I can't explain it. It was just like I became something that I didn't think I was. When
Right.
I didn't do, when literally my wife was like almost like laughing. She's like, you're so cute. Like you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Because like you cut her off, you're not talking to her, like who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. I just thought it was fucking funny.
Yeah.
Because like, and the goofiest part is that I was like kind of drunk that night. So like the next morning, I'm just like, bro, these are not good looking tits. Like, they looked a lot better yesterday.
I like the titty Pollock. She was trying to be nice. She was giving. It's not.
Yeah.
There's no. You know what I mean? Good on her.
It makes me feel.
Somewhere,
It makes me.
There'll be some Pollock. Is
Yeah.
that what we call you?
Yeah.
Okay. Pole? A pole?
Unless you want to call me by my Holocaust number,
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So somewhere there'll be some 32851
Yeah.
that isn't married.
Yeah.
And they'll be very happy to see the tits.
Exactly.
They'll be
Exactly.
very happy.
Yeah.
No reason to put down her tits.
Yeah.
She's got nice. She's got nice. She's a nice. She's a nice lady giving away stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere someone will appreciate.
Yeah.
The
tits.
The tits.
The Sagatrons,
The Sagatrons. I have very saggy tits. Very big saggy.
That's not always a bad thing.
Big old saggers.
Yeah. I had saggers in like 8th grade. I had saggers before girls had them.
Dude, mine came in saggy. It's not like they've gotten saggy. Like they came in saggy.
Yeah.
I popped out with little
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what got my Sagatrons in 8th grade is what got me to start working out because I was like, I can't. You know what was funny to me? Because I was just like, I set my brother off on this. I was talking about how like I think my saggy tits came in because I had like that baby fat body. Like there was no muscle on me.
Yeah.
And like my brother isn't that fat, but he still has like that baby body where like I was telling him like you can't grow a mustache and he's like, what do you mean? Look at all these, and he's showing me all these pictures of him having a mustache. I'm like, dude, I'm like that looks like that Jackass where they glued pubes to his head. Like, but
I feel at least you can work out and get rid of your saggy tits. I got really in shape for a while and I was going to the gym all the time and I got really muscular and I was doing chest a lot.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I got it. And then I had, because I like was doing a boxing match. So I got very, very in shape and I had visible, like I could flex and there was like a line.
Yeah. Did you do the Lex Luger thing where they move without you?
But I had, so then it's worse because then you have saggy tits and underneath the tits you have visible pectoral muscles.
Yeah.
And on a woman. It's awful.
So you look like somebody who takes steroids and you have a 4-inch clit.
Yes.
Yeah. Like
that's what it was such a bummer.
Yeah, dude, I know I had a few friends, like they were chicks who like worked out a lot and I was like, I'm telling you right now, there isn't any dude who finds this attractive.
Really?
I don't want to be mean, but it was like, because they were venting to me about, I'm not going to be good enough. I'm like, you have been good enough. You're actually getting worse.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
Like, what I noticed is like, just like from being in CrossFit and just like whatever, like looking at porn since I was fucking 6, like chicks who work out, the other thing that sucks is like when they get bulk, when they get like muscular, their nipples are like sausage links.
Like
it's
long?
Just, yeah, like they just like stick out bigger.
I feel like my nipples didn't change. I feel like my nipples stayed the same.
I mean, like,
I feel like it's like a because it feels.
This is going good. Nazis, pedophiles,
nipples.
nipples.
But because the thing is though, is the one thing is that it's because like you might start going to the gym for aesthetic reasons, but so like CrossFit, so like you get it, but then you're in it because you want to see what you're physically capable of.
Yeah.
So then it's like, oh, it's like no one's attracted to muscular women, and it's like, yeah, but I can lift shit.
Yeah.
Like I'm physically capable of doing cool shit. This is fucking. It feels like a superpower. You're like, especially if you go from being really out of shape to being able to move a couch. You're like, this is fucking rad.
Well, that's what I'm seeing is like these friends that I had, these girls that were muscular, they were telling me that they're strictly going because of their body image. And I'm like, the body image is fine. You have to accept yourself.
Yeah, well, and also getting in shape doesn't, the body image stuff I think just gets ingrained in you from such a young age. I remember, so I was going to the gym, I lost a bunch of weight, and my brother and I were both fat kids.
Yeah.
And he got in shape in his 20s and stayed in shape. And I've gotten in shape, gotten out,
Yeah.
Yo-yo. But I was like, man, I just can't wait to like get to a place where I like look in the mirror and I'm like not fat. And he's like, oh, kid, that's not. Yeah.
You're always going to notice something, right?
You're always going to be fat in your brain. Because it's like your idea of yourself, you get.
Yeah.
I think at like kind of a young age. And then I just don't think you can shake it. I think you just have to be like,
yeah,
I'm not, I was
think
treated like I was fat my whole life. There's not going to be a time in my life when I don't see that in the mirror.
I think that's because in like the 90s, like that was like one of the offenses. Like if you didn't have something on somebody, they'd be like, you're fat.
Yeah.
That was the fucking thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's.
One thing I like being out of the, it is like relieving, and it makes me think it must be nice when you get old. Like when you get old and your body goes to shit and no one wants to fuck you and you're like, oh, that's like the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
It's like a Zen state.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I'm just not in the game.
Yeah.
People are like agonizing over dates and nudes and you're like, oh, I'm just not in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just on the other side of this thing.
I was.
And it's like relief,
I think I got in that Zen state at an early age. Because so I was over caffeinated and like talking to myself in the car.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this, about how like, because I've had people ask me like, when the fuck did you get whatever wild, right? And I think I was so oppressed and under so much fucking pressure from like, I was never good enough for my parents. My friends always made fun of me. I'm going to a Catholic school that's got all these fucking regulations, You know what it reminded me of? So this is kind of a ridiculous story, but I got to this point like in lockdown where all these people were like, man, if you don't read books regularly, you're fucking stupid. And I was like, dude, fuck books. Fuck reading. I've never found a book that like is better than the movie. Like I would rather spend 2 hours than 16 hours looking at a tree's foreskin. That's just me.
Okay.
That's just me. I don't know. You're a reader, aren't you?
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out the through line here because okay. Because hold on. Let's just cap what's happened. Because I was like, yeah, you reach a Zen state because you're like, yeah, I don't even care about fucking. And you're like, yeah, I get it. I don't read.
No. This is, I know.
How did we?
It's the mania. It's the ADHD.
Okay.
This all makes sense. But what happened is like, I got to this point where I was like, all right, I'm capable of reading, and I'll prove it by reading the worst piece of shit. And I just went to a Goodwill, just closed my eyes and picked the first book that I picked, and it ended up being I could pick two books, which was Tim Allen's biography.
Okay.
Because those are that don't stand close to a naked man. They're at every fucking Goodwill.
Okay.
And then the other one was Dennis Rodman's Bad as I Want to Be.
Okay.
Which overall was kind of trash. It was him just kind of bragging about being a rebel. But I love this fucking. He was talking about how growing up, he knew that he didn't fit in. He knew that he was an outsider. And he was like, not only did I have all this pressure being black in a white fucking country, but also I had to be the stereotypical black. I had to be this fly black, dressing like Sinbad with baggy slacks and a fucking gold chain. I had to be this fly looking like somebody from Boys to Men, And he was like, that's not me. And he was on the Detroit Pistons, where he was still oh, I got to have a flat top like all the other black guys on the team. And then when he got sold to the Bulls for millions of dollars, he's like, bro, I'm fucking losing it. I can finally do whatever the fuck I want because I'm worth whatever, $22 million. I can have piercings everywhere, dye my fucking hair, get tattoos, wear a fucking wedding dress. And I think that's what I'm talking about is I got in this Zen state where it was all right, you're not good enough for your parents. You're not good enough for your friends. You're not good enough for your school. I was like, well, you know what? That's what I'm good at, not being good enough. Yeah. And that's where I was like, I'm going to go fucking wild. I'm just going to, everything about me is going to be me. Yeah. Fuck that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I mean by that.
So tell me about getting kidnapped.
Yeah. So it's my dad took me, my dad almost murdered my mom in front of me. My brother was too young to remember this, but
yeah.
He got in a huge fight with her, and trauma memories, they're stamped in your head like a favorite movie,
Yeah.
So I just remember there was a shit ton of screaming. I mean, my mom was real dramatic, and I know that's probably fucked up to say in that situation, but but she was like that fucking Godfather wife where she's going to start hurling plates and destroying the house.
Okay, sure, yeah.
And then I didn't know what happened, but he split her head open.
Oh, my God.
And I just remember her running at me, and all her hair was wet with blood, and she hid me in a closet. And so from that moment on, he got, there was an order of protection. He couldn't see us at all.
Yeah.
There was whatever. And he, won where, he won this thing where he was like, oh, this was a one-time thing with my wife. I should still have visitation rights, and he got the visitation rights.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And, this is the kind of broken home shit that it sucks to think about. I don't get emotional about it, but it's just a bummer that I don't want this to sound, I don't know how this is going to sound. It doesn't matter. It was I used to wonder was my dad like this before he met my mom? Because she was okay, the fucking buzzword of 2025 is narcissist because of Trump. I am not political, but he's technically not a narcissist. He's full of himself. He's egocentric, but narcissists always play victim. They're always you're sitting like that because you don't give a shit. You're judging me right now.
Okay, sure.
They're always and my mom used to do that shit. It just so
maybe she had a brain injury from getting pummeled in the head.
I have no idea, but I think it's I think well, that's why that shit rubbed out. That's why she had a lot of hate for me because I resembled her father, and I think her father was a narcissist. He put her through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And I do a little bit where I'm I'm a watered down narcissist. It skips, so it's sort of where I do have where I do feel bad for you, but I'm just listen, I could teach you how to be perfect like me.
Yeah.
It's a joke, but
yeah.
So anyway, so what happened is it got separated, and then my dad would go on visitations, but a key factor of the visitation rights was that my grandmother had to go on the visitation for our safety, And I remember it's like clear as day. He took us on a visitation. I'm sitting in the passenger seat of his car, and my brother and my grandma are in back, and he was like, all right. And I remember asking him, I was like, can we go to this toy shop there's this toy shop by our house that was like, kind of like, back in the 90s, you couldn't buy shit online. So this shop had like everything rare, like fucking comic books.
Okay.
And like, I mean, just like G.I. Joes, like everything fucking rare. And I was like, I asked him, I'm like, can we go there just to visit? Like, don't even buy me. And he said, no, we're not going there. We're going to get food. And I was just joking around. You know how like foreign cars, they have the gear switch in the middle?
Yeah.
Like it's not a stick shift, but it's in the middle.
Sure.
I like pretended, I'm like, well, if we're not going, then I'm going to crash this car. And I was just joking. So he knocked my lights out, like one hitter quitter.
Whoa.
And he was like in a panic. I was knocked out unconscious. And then when basically this all happened while I was unconscious. He panicked that he knocked me out. So he threw me out of the moving car. I woke up in the middle of a random street. And then he took off with my brother and my grandma.
Whoa.
So, like, he got charged with kidnapping, but that's kind of, like, what happened.
That's crazy.
So, and I kind of, like, wrote it into a bit where, like, I wasn't conscious for the trauma.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool to wake up in the middle of the road because I like the Terminator. I just kind of, like, spawned in this black hole.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle, But, yeah, that's, it's like... That's what happened. Like,
did you ever see him again after that?
I didn't see him for, I was like 12. I didn't see him till I was like 23, 24.
Yeah.
And I tried to, and that's the thing is like, I asked myself, I was like, did my mom drive him crazy enough to where he became an alcoholic?
I think a normal person doesn't punch. I don't think you can drive someone so crazy that they punch a kid's lights out, right?
Yeah. I mean, but were they a bad kid? No, I'm just kidding. No. I mean, like, it's, I think.
And sometimes I wonder and I don't want to comment on your family. I don't know your family, but sometimes I wonder too with the like, because a lot of people hate their moms, and talk about their moms resenting them.
Yeah.
And stuff. And that's it. But part of me wonders if that'll, well, I mean, who knows? Because the way the election went and stuff, and the way things have gone the last few years, but like, there was such a culture of like, you have to get married and you have to have kids, and not because like,
oh yeah,
if I had to, like, I can't have kids. There's no way I could have kids.
Yeah.
And if I was in a position where somebody made me have kids,
or
I felt like I would. Because I'm not maternal. Like, I'm just not.
Yeah.
And I just don't. And I don't think that makes me a bad person. But I know, I shouldn't have kids because I'm just not I don't have that in me. Like, I don't have I feel like, I don't know. Part of me wonders if, like, I feel like there's, like, a generation of people that have, like, shitty moms. And part of me wonders if it's, like, well, I wonder how much she's, like, it's just a situation of people not having choices over their lives.
Yeah.
Parents not having choice. Because it was also like that generation is like, you have kids.
Yeah.
Like, you get married, you have kids, you have.
I see what you're getting at. Like
you know what I mean?
You know what? When all those deaths happened, I kind of got like to the conclusion that like my parents were like people who should be on Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
Like neither one is more to blame. They're equally like shitty,
Yeah.
And that's and you know what? Like I talked about this before, so I don't even want to get. But like what cured me is hypnosis. I went to hypnosis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's literally, you ever see Office Space?
A long time ago.
Like, remember, like he's like telling him to be in the Zen state, and then he has a heart attack. So so he's always in that Zen state. That's basically what happened to me. Like I got like they like so I'll give you I'll talk you through like a session that I had. Like, so basically what they do is like when you go into I mean, we're not in a rush, right?
No,
you're not going to the mic today, right?
I might try to get. What time is it?
7.
I might try to wrap up in, I don't know, like 20 minutes or so.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, long story short, like the way they do the hypnosis, they sort of like you have to go through the trauma again, but you're looking at it logically with no emotions attached.
Okay.
You get what so the way he explained it to me is like you'll watch like a Rob Zombie movie where there's a motherfucker getting raped on screen, but you're just sitting there eating popcorn.
How do they get your brain in a state where you're detached?
Because so there's your amygdala in your brain. You know what an amygdala is?
Part of your brain.
Yeah, there's like a walnut-sized part in the middle of your brain that is your fear, flight, and freeze response.
Okay.
And that's why, and so this doctor found out that, like you ever see like old cartoons where there's like a caveman, and anytime like there's a beast coming, they're like looking left and right full speed.
Yeah.
When you look left and right full speed, that calms your anxiety down naturally. Because your eyes are connected to your amygdala.
Okay.
So it's desensitizing everything.
Okay.
And so what they do is they sort of like put you in this hypnosis where you're looking left and right, and you're reliving that situation, but you're looking at it at a logical standpoint. You know what I mean? So it's so like what they did to me was like I was talking about how they were talking about like when was the most scared you might have ever been. I remember my mom used to lock me in my room for like 6 hours at a time, like regularly. And so like I freaked out. I was like, because I'm a little kid. I'm like, did she die? Did she forget about me?
Yeah.
And am I going to fucking be like some pirate cartoon where I'm going to be a skeleton with cobwebs, you know? And most of all, I was like, am I supposed to shit on the floor? Because I can't even go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And so like, before I was hypnotized, I was like, yeah, you know, I had all these questions like I could have acted nicer, I could have been a better kid, you know? And eventually they go, all right, let's talk about your logical side. What would you say logically happened there? And it was like, yeah, the way you look at it is I am King Phil and these parents didn't deserve me as a son.
Yeah.
That's the way you have to look at it. Like you didn't do anything wrong. You had retards as parents.
Yeah, sure.
And that's sort of like what numbs that whole thing. You know what I mean? So that's the way that works. And that hypnosis is like I would not be a stable person without it. Like it literally fucking cured everything. It's like,
did your health insurance pay for it?
Yeah. And you know that's the thing that's really fucking slimy is, you know, they talk about like, you know, this health healthcare in this country, it's called EMDR, the hypnosis.
Yeah.
And it's like you look for a doctor, there's like 70 in the area. You look for a chiropractor, there's like 50 in the area. You look for EMDR, there's like 3 in the area.
Yeah.
Because it's preventable, not profitable.
Yeah.
Because once you do it, that's what blew my mind when I went, because I was like, I've never went to a therapy. Like I've mentioned this before, but I'm telling you, the part that always chokes me up is I remember the last session that I went to him. He's like, Phil, how do you feel about yourself? How do you feel about everything you processed? And I was like, honestly, I think like I'm pretty good. And then he just like leaned over to me. He goes, congratulations, we're through. And I was like, I was bawling. Because I was like, I thought this would never resolve itself. Yeah. Because that's what people. I'm not shitting on anything, but the way I look at it is like, it's like working out. There's losing weight working out, and then there's maintenance.
Yeah.
Talk therapy is maintenance.
Yeah.
If you're looking to resolve issues with talk therapy, you will go for the rest of your fucking life.
Yeah.
If you do the hypnosis first, I mean, I see my talk therapist once every 6 months now.
Yeah.
Because it got me to such an independent, confident state.
How did you know? Hold on. Sorry, my phone's kind of going crazy.
It's all good. They're asking you now about this whole, why the fuck's Phil calling out these pedophiles and assault?
How did you know? Like, did you go there with like, oh, I'm going to talk about childhood trauma?
No, that's I just heard that EMDR is the number one effective therapy for like PTSD.
Yeah.
It's literally like the one thing that is guaranteed. You know when you go on like meds and shit?
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, this might work, this might work."
Yeah.
Like this is literally scientifically guaranteed to make your life 25% like better. Like it, like whatever trauma you have, it numbs at 25%. And people who have trauma, they're like, "Dude, I'll be happy to numb it 1%."
Yeah.
So, and for me, I think it numbed it like 70%, you know?
Yeah.
But it is kind of funny because like for a while, I think even people like my brother, they kind of like looked at me as like a sociopath or something because like all these things that like really affected me before are just like nothing. They're just like, they're literally, like I said, like it's like watching a movie. Like in my mind, there's no emotions attached to it.
Yeah.
It's just like a video playing on a projector, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I just figured, and so when I went to it, he said like the whole practice of EMDR is like everything stems from your childhood, and what it really is about is it's about habits. So for example, he's like, I guarantee you, every fucking morning, you, whether it's your left or your right foot, one of those you put the shoe on first,
Right?
Because one day when you were 3 years old and you were learning how to put shoes on, you put your right shoe on first. And then you just kept reinforcing that.
Right.
And so like one day, for example, what fucked with me a lot was that English was I didn't learn English till I was 12.
Oh, wow.
So
how
like,
did you go to school and stuff?
I honestly just like, I just got by and I copied off my Polish friend's homework. Like that's literally how, like I just literally like just pretended like I was like, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
And so like, so like one of those things is like, where was I going? Oh, like one of the things that like bothered me was like, this is how EMDR works. It's like, okay, so say for example, like I felt like I didn't fit in or like I was rejected. He's like, when was the first time that happened? And then you process that and then it's a domino rally because that's what affects you till now from that first time.
Yeah.
So if you reset that, if you hit the reset button on that, you reset.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really fucking cool. It really is cool. Like one of the things that I saw instant, I mean it wasn't instant, but for example, I used to get woken up like a fucking soldier in the Gaza Strip, mortars going off.
Okay.
Because it was either my dad was beating my ma or I had sleep epilepsy. I haven't had a seizure in like 10 years because it's controlled by meds. But like for the longest time, if I ever got woken up in the middle of my sleep, it was like, like I'm ready to fucking attack somebody.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, am I fighting my dad off? Am I gonna see my ma's gashed open fucking head?
Jesus.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so like that was one of the hardest things moving in with my wife because like she would wake up to just go pee in the middle of the night. Or my kid would wake up to go pee in the middle or get a snack.
Yeah.
And I would scream at them because it like it like triggered that response.
Yeah.
But then once I processed that, it's like, dude, there's nothing to be afraid of. You know?
Right, yeah.
It's from that first time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that. Yeah. The other thing on my list that's wild that I want to mention, and then I want to do an interview with you. That's cool.
Okay, yeah,
do we have time for that?
Yeah.
So like, I started doing Zepbound, which is the.
How's that going?
It's fucking.
Do you feel nauseous? Do you feel because all I've read about are the side effects?
Yeah. So I was gonna do a whole video on just my experience, which I'm still gonna release. But so I decided to do Zepbound, which is tirzepatide, which is basically it's the more.
They're not GLP-1s, right? It's
they are.
Oh, they are.
They are. It's just that they're more effective than Ozempic. Because what I found is Ozempic is like the mass-produced, mass-marketed. It's like I'm eating like authentic tacos, and Ozempic is sort of like Taco Bell.
Okay, sure.
That's sort of the...
Yeah.
And like... It's crazy because there's all these things that I'm figuring out. Like, for example, they were saying the side effects. Like the first... Have you ever taken an antidepressant?
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of them. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm on like the lowest dose of Zoloft. I cut the lowest dose in half. So you know how it takes like 2 to 3 weeks to pop in. Those first 2 to 3 weeks on Zepbound are really fucked up.
Yeah.
And what was crazy is, they say one of the side effects is vomiting and diarrhea. Well, what's crazy that I found out was GLP-1s flush your body of sugars. Let me get to why I started taking them. I've been in CrossFit for 6 months, and I gained 10 pounds from muscle. And my trainer's like, dude, you're not losing any fat. The reason why I got into CrossFit was because when all the deaths happened, I had a shady fucking psychiatrist, and he put me on this schizophrenic pill. It's called olanzapine. Like I'm just gonna keep rambling, but like there's external depression and then there's internal. Meaning, internal depression is like, okay, I'm feeling great every day. Every fucking day of my life is like the Truman Show. And then out of nowhere, there's a chemical imbalance for some reason.
Yeah.
External, it's like, yeah, 5 people died in your family.
Yeah, you're having a response to
your. And so you just kind of have to go through the grieving process. So you really should be taking something that just is sort of like a coach,
Yeah.
And he fucking put me on a bipolar pill.
Yeah.
So I gained 100 pounds in like 4 months.
Whoa.
I used to be like 200. I'm 6'1". I used to be 200. And I the most I was like 290 because of this fucking pill.
That's crazy.
And it fucks with your metabolism because it modifies shit in your brain. The way it works is like, so when you work out, there's a stress hormone that's released.
Yeah.
Like that's why you sleep like a baby after you work out.
Yeah.
Because your body's rebuilding itself. When you work out on that pill, the stress doesn't even release because it's in constant like chill mode.
Yeah.
So it's like impossible to lose weight.
Yeah.
And it's such a fucked up pill that they actually give you metformin with the pill, which is diabetic.
Yeah.
Point is, my trainer was like, dude, if I were you, like there's something fucked up with your metabolism, I would try Zepbound. So I tried it, and I was saying it flushes the sugars. What's crazy is a lot of people who are morbidly obese, they already eat like shit. So what's crazy is they get the shits because they'll eat everything sugary, right? Fucking cereals, Twinkies, whatever, chocolates, right? So they have diarrhea because your body's like, no, we don't need this sugar.
Yeah.
Because my metabolism was fucked, I already eat nothing but protein. I literally eat nothing but protein. I eat like eggs, steak, and like sandwiches once in a while.
Yeah.
So what happened to me is I got really constipated.
Oh no.
Like severely constipated because your body's like trying to take all the nutrients that it can, whatever.
Yeah.
So like the first 2-3 weeks, I took a fiber pill, dude. I shat like an anaconda, like out, because I was so backed up.
Yeah.
But what you were saying about the side effects, like it's honestly not that bad. Like it sucks because this is what's bullshit. When I went through this whole the pill made me gain weight, whatever.
Yeah.
First, also because I was a welder breathing in fumes. First, I was prescribed, you know what a TAP device is? They told me I got sleep apnea. So I got a TAP device. It's like a mouth guard, but it pushes your bottom chin forward. So you have like an underbite.
Yeah.
So it opens up your throat so you don't snore.
Okay.
That didn't work for me because the mouth guard, the thing that it's made out of, it's like, mouth guards are like rubber. This is like some kind of silicone. And so anytime I put it on, it would like be stuck. And I was afraid that my crowns would rip off because it was like way too. So I was like, this isn't working. And then they're like, all right, well, we'll try a CPAP. I tried a CPAP, and then like I stopped welding. So I kind of stopped snoring. But then I started snoring again, and the CPAP didn't work.
Yeah.
So then they fucking like approved me for, what bariatric surgery is?
Yeah.
Like the sleeve, they cut off your fucking 80% of your stomach.
Yeah.
So it's like, bro, and then I go to Zepbound, insurance doesn't cover it. How fucked is that?
How are you paying for it?
I'm paying out of pocket.
Oh, isn't it like $1,000 a month?
So that's what's crazy is that if you buy it from a pharmacy like Walgreens, it's like $1,000 a month. I'm buying it from a separate clinic, and it's like $500 for 3 months worth.
Oh, wait. Are they like is it a compound?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like the underdog of like For Hims or For Hers type shit.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, like, I mean, I'm already seeing it. My wife's seeing it. I went down like 2 notches on my belt. I lost like 20 pounds, you know?
And how long?
It's been like 2 months.
Wow.
So it's finally working, you know?
Yeah.
And you know what? Every person that hates on it, they're like fat haters. They really are. You know what I mean? Like it's all these like gym rats who are like, you should go to the gym.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
You know?
Well, I think the big thing is that they're saying that it's just bodies are complicated. How they work, bodies and metabolisms, and I mean it's all really so like the idea is that I think people. Okay, so this is like a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
It's the like people that have it. Whatever this shit is they have together, whatever it is, if fitness,
yeah,
or I don't know, or like the people that with the, I know you're not political, I'll go a little political, or the people who are like, I got into the country and dotted all the T's and the I's.
Yeah.
So therefore, if you didn't kick them out, whatever it's like, we all have different stuff that we did right or have together or for whatever.
Yeah.
And we all have different stuff that we don't.
Yeah.
So just because you were able
for
whatever reason to have your shit together, just because you did it the hard way, we all have stuff that we did the hard way and the long way.
Yeah, yeah.
And we all have stuff that for whatever reason we didn't or we can't. And so like, don't be a dick.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, how does somebody taking some shit like that, how does that affect you?
Right, yeah.
You know?
And it's like, well, no, because I don't have, it's like, cool, you don't have to. And I don't know.
But I realized it's like, because like, you know, like jockey gym dudes are sort of like the people who are political, and they tell you, well, if you don't give a fuck about it, then I guess you don't give a shit about anybody. It's like that, you know, where it's like, if you don't take either side, well, then you just don't give a fuck about people, you know. And so to me, it's like a lot of like gym bros.
Yeah,
they're really socially awkward nerds who just lift.
Oh,
they really are.
Yeah,
and what they're like pissed off that, you know, they think that, oh, me being jacked is gonna solve all my social awkward fucking problems.
Yeah,
when it's like, bro, look at what I'm going to comedy. I'm doing a podcast. I have a family. I write music. If there's a shot where I don't have to go to a gym, why wouldn't I? I don't want to wait. I don't like picking like that. The reason why I did CrossFit is because working out is boring as fuck.
Right. Yeah.
It's boring as fuck. I like competing with other people, or like at my place, they'll like play tic-tac-toe with 45 plates, you know, or shit, or they'll play like, we'll play horse with the weighted ball. It's like 60 pounds, and you throw it into a fucking like garbage can, you know?
Yeah.
That's fun. Like going to a gym and just like, you know? It's just,
yeah.
So I just think the point I was getting at is like, all the people who hate on Ozempic, like, look into whether if they hate fat people, don't even listen to what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because you know what a lot of the pushback is on semi-glutides is like, they say like, oh, you're going to gain all the weight back. That's wrong. That's extreme thinking. What it really means is like, okay, when I started out, I was 280. I might go down to 200. When I get off of it, I might go up to 210.
Right.
That's like awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Like why wouldn't that be awesome? Because during that time, your stomach shrinks.
Yeah.
So you would actually have to put in a lot of work to get back up to your starting weight.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna try and be on 2 years, and I mean it just feels better to like, it's just more comfortable, like fitting in clothes, having more energy, and I don't know. But anyways, Tory Ward.
Yeah.
How did you how did you start in comedy? How long have you been doing it for?
Like 9 years.
9 years?
Yeah.
It shows because you're a good comic.
Oh, thanks.
Seriously.
I'm starting to get a little self-conscious about how long I've been doing it because I feel like I should have more to show for it. But
I'm starting to get self-conscious on whether I should ask that or not.
Yeah.
You know?
Why?
Because there's people who are in 9 years who are way worse than you. There's people who are in 9 years who are way better off than you.
Yeah.
And I feel like it makes people self-conscious. I don't know.
It's weird because when you start, you're like proud of how it's like age, you know, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm 20, you know, and then you get to 30 and you're like, oh, fuck. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of like that. But yeah, I've been doing it about 9 years. I started 8 years maybe. I started when I was 28
And this was in Seattle?
This is in Oregon. This is in Portland, Oregon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where you grew up?
I grew up on the Oregon coast.
Okay.
In like a teeny tiny little town.
Okay, cool.
And, yeah.
And you, how old are you now?
36.
36. Okay. Yeah, I'm 37. So,
okay.
Like, did you? I mean, I was like growing up in Oregon. Like,
it's beautiful. It's small. It's yeah. I mean, it's fine. I honestly started comedy because I didn't have any friends.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anything that I loved doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really lonely. And so I wrote 3 minutes worth of jokes, and I went to an open mic, and the first one went well.
Yeah.
And then it was such a good feeling having, I think one of the reasons why so many like weirdos and stuff.
Bro, I think I know where you're going, and I was about to talk about, but yeah.
I think it's because we have such a hard time finding like normal confirmation that people like us we don't get it.
Yeah, yeah.
From interactions the way other people get it.
Yeah, I think comedy, a lot of people go into comedy, they like start out with like low self-esteem or who like need validation.
Yeah.
And then when they gain it,
yeah,
they're like, I could do whatever the fuck I want, which enables weirdos who get an ego.
Well, I think I'm just referring to the specific feeling of saying a joke and then the room laughing.
Yeah.
I think the high that you get off of that, I think is really potent.
Yeah.
For people that have a hard time getting social validation from interactions. I think people that get social validation easily and are like, oh, people generally like me.
Yeah.
And then they go on stage and everybody laughs. And it's like feels good, but it's fine. But if you don't get that and you're like, oh, I'm lonely, everyone hates me, whatever the thing is, and then you go on stage and everybody laughs, that feeling is like,
yeah,
it's like an elixir, you know? It's
such
a good feeling. So yeah, it was just the first set went good. And so then I was like, well, I want to do this forever.
Do you know what mic it was that you went to?
I remember. Well, so it was in Portland. It was this place called the Rusty Nail. And it was a very Portland bar. The bartender looked just like Elliott Smith, and he was like a moody cunt. And he was like annoyed that he had to be waiting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like acted like bringing you a drink was just the biggest burden ever. Like how could you possibly, like hair was all in his eyes. And, you know. And I didn't want anyone to come see me because I didn't know how I was going to go. But I told my brother I was going to do it because I just wanted one person to hold me accountable.
Yeah.
But my logic was I've never been. So I went and watched a couple open mics to figure out what the good ones were. And then
did the shitty open micers give you confidence to try?
Yeah.
That's what what drove me. Like.
And then so I went to one that I knew was good. And then my logic was I don't know any of these people. I've never been to this bar before. If it goes bad, I just never come back here again. Yeah. And it never happened.
Yeah.
I can just have never. My brother tried to sneak in and watch my set because he really wanted to see it. He was really excited. He's a big comedy nerd. But but I saw him and I was like, get out of here. Nobody can see it.
Yeah.
And then it was cool that the first one went good. It was also a little bit of a curse because the first few went really good. I think maybe I bombed my 6th or 7th because I told myself I'd do it 11 times. Because I was like, that way I experience some variance.
Yeah.
so that way if the first one's hopefully I get a laugh in those 11 times.
Yeah.
And so I get to know what it feels like.
Yeah.
But I kind of think maybe I would have been better off if I bombed my first one, because I did a lot of sex jokes, right?
Yeah.
So then I kind of ended up in this trap where I was scared to bomb. And I had all these short form sex jokes, which also do well when you start and you're a 20-something-year-old girl, because there's because it's a bunch of open micers that don't fuck.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're pussy. Yeah,
That is funny, because it's like all like female comics start off with the sex jokes. All dudes start off with like the shocky, fucking crazy shit,
So then I did sex stuff for a couple years, and I don't think that I'm like, look back and I'm like, there's still good joke. Like, I think I did a good job, but I was just really on one really narrow. And so then I kind of did that. And then my dad died. And so then I had a bunch of jokes about watching my dad die. I went kind of out of my mind.
Yeah.
And then after that, I feel like I was like, made my scope got a lot bigger.
What do you mean you went out of your mind? Like,
I just went, I mean, you've been through way more loss than I've been through. You go a little crazy,
Yeah, but do you mean like you took a break from comedy?
Oh, no, I was doing it every night, but I was kind of manic. I was in this like weird kind of manic state. Yeah. And I just didn't give a fuck what anybody thought, because I was
like the grieving.
Yeah. Yeah. So
were you and your family like close?
Me and my dad were really close. I was raised by him.
Okay.
And then I have two brothers. They're both half siblings, so I was kind of raised as an only child.
Quick thing. I'm really sorry this happens every podcast. They always take a shit.
Oh, that's
and
okay.
And fucking like.
That's fine.
Luckily, you're a cat person, so you understand. But anyways, you were saying you're close with your dad.
Yeah.
What happened like with you and your mom?
She's I feel I probably should see her. I haven't seen her in 20 years. She tried to kidnap me, but I was like 17. I don't know what she would have done.
Were they like separated?
Yeah. So she's bipolar type 1. So when she goes off her meds, she loses.
Yeah, that's the toughest.
Like loses her mind.
That is the toughest one.
Like it's sometimes I get a little PO, because like so now for mood stabilizers, they've found that the like epilepsy medication works really well as a mood stabilizer. So they'll just prescribe it to you. Like they prescribed it to me.
Yeah.
And they were like, we don't know if you're just try the mood stabilizer, might help. But it used to be just lithium. So like really the only people that were diagnosed as bipolar were people that were fucking crazy. And then now like anybody who takes a mood stabilizer is like, oh, I think I'm bipolar. And then it's become this almost kind of
trendy thing. And then I describe what my mom has, and they're like, no, that's something else. And I'm like, no, that's it. You don't understand. Like it's not like you lose it's like closer to schizophrenia than it is to like you have these delusions, you think you're on missions. Yeah. You're bonkers. You know what it is?
And you get like super strength and stuff. Like your body does crazy stuff.
Yeah, you can't sleep for days. And, it's funny because like I said, I told you before the podcast that like I went to school for therapy and psychology, and like what I realized is like it's a long explanation, but basically like our Europe, Middle East, and the Americas were poisoned by Western dualism, which is the holy trinity of the worst religions, which is Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Yeah. Because those religions influenced us thinking in extremes, black or white. Like, are you a Christian? No, then we're burning you at the stake.
Okay.
And so because of that, because like in Eastern philosophies, Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, it's very more like, I guess you could say like logical. And so when it relates to psychology, what people don't understand is like, if there was a magical AI meter, like a Ghostbusters machine, you might be 10% schizophrenic right now, but you're managing it. Yeah. And so like similar to like how you were saying, like somebody will be diagnosed bipolar. It's like, dude, you might be so mild bipolar that you don't even need medicine.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And people don't get that. Like I remember when this slimy psychiatrist like told me I had bipolar and put me on, I was like, oh my God, I'm Kanye. You know?
Yeah.
Like you catastrophize. You know?
I had a similar thing where I had them try to say I was bipolar right after my dad died.
Yeah.
And it's like you really can't diagnose somebody with anything.
Yeah.
Right after something because you're just responding to what's happening.
Yeah. You know what was one of the things for me that was like a nail in the coffin of bipolar was that, and this ended up being a PTSD thing, was that bipolar people, one of the biggest traits is they can never hold a job. And me, I've been a temp worker my whole life, not because I can't hold a job, but in welding, every welding place has its busy season.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, oh, I'm working at company A during the summer, but then I moved to company B during the winter, you know, and like I'd move to all these places and they'd be like, oh yeah, that's a sign of bipolar. And I'm just like, no, like, first of all, I'm a temp. And secondly, you know, the other thing that bothered me at work is like when people used to tell me like, Phil, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. I'd catastrophize like, oh my God, I'm not good enough. Yeah. That's fucking trauma. That's not bipolar. The reason why bipolar people have a hard time is because of like going off meds and going manic.
Burn everything down.
Yeah.
And you burn every relationship. You fucking destroy your entire.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like hopping around. It's like a trail of destruction.
Yeah.
Behind you. Yeah. So she, I don't know. She was on some mission. Last time I saw her, she went off her meds and.
You know what she was on?
Oh, I know she was on lithium for forever, but I don't.
Yeah.
I think it destroys your kidneys, I think. So I think now she's, at some point they put you on like a cocktail of stuff.
Yeah, they tried to put me on lithium and like I had to get my blood checked like every 3 months.
Yeah, she was on it for forever. I think it like thinned out her hair and it sucks because like because I was just kind of like, this is a person she didn't raise me. She didn't.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but now she's older and I haven't seen her, spoken to her in, over 20 years. But I just feel like I don't know. I'm like, from my understanding, I talked to her sister. I guess she hasn't gone off her meds because every time she goes off her meds, she gets arrested.
Yeah.
She gets institutionalized.
Yeah.
It's like a whole like thing. But I'm like, gosh, she's old. I think she's a social worker. She hasn't been off her meds in forever.
Yeah.
How much damage can she really do?
Yeah, yeah.
She would like to see me. Like, I don't know. And knowing what we know now about mental health and about how women especially are treated when they're crazy and stuff, I'm like, I mean, there's no way she's had a hard life.
Yeah.
But then I'm also like, oh, it's not my fucking responsibility.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to. And if she's old, I don't want to see her and form a relationship with her and then she dies.
I get exactly what you mean. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the thing, like, I don't mean to trail off interviewing you.
Yeah.
But like the thing with my dad, when I met him again in my 20s.
Yeah.
What was crazy is I visited him at a hospital, and because he called me out of nowhere, and I tried to like rekindle this thing, whatever, like how, like just answer all these questions I had, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't tell me at first, but I leave the hospital and he's like calling me every fucking 3 minutes. And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And you know what happened is like, they didn't tell me at the hospital. They thought I knew. He had severe dementia. So, and he had the kind of dementia where he would forget everything every 5 minutes. So he was calling me because he thought I stole his cigarettes. So he kept calling me to buy. And this is kind of funny, but dark. He stayed in the hospital because he would run across the street like half naked with his scrubs to go get cigarettes and keep getting hit by cars.
Jesus Christ.
Like he just kept being Frogger, you know? And so, yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But but I was in the same mindset of like, okay, I haven't seen him my whole fucking life. My mom did nothing but talk horrendous trash on him. And then I was like, how do I rekindle something with somebody who doesn't even know who I am, possibly?
Yeah.
You know? So I kind of like let that go. But anyway, I was saying that like, one thing I do say is like, who do you think? I'm just curious, what made you go towards stand up? Like, what were your when like right before you did that first mic? What do you think were like your top 3 influences? Like top 3 comedians?
I don't know. I can't think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all
have
good. No, it's all good. I'm just curious. Like, were you watching stand up regularly and stuff? Like, to where you're like,
No, I'd seen okay, well, you're going to make fun of me, but I still stand by her. Okay, Amy Schumer's early special I think is great.
okay,
That.
yeah,
Louis C.K. and Bill Burr.
okay,
Those are probably
yeah.
3.
I don't think I even had. You know what? I wouldn't call myself a contrarian. I call myself like too open-minded for people's own good.
Yeah.
And so like everybody hated Amy because of the joke stealing thing.
Yeah, which
you know?
I think is bullshit, by the way. So this the stuff that she stole,
Yeah.
especially going to mics and stuff and hearing the way this stuff gets like they were like she has a joke about Asian people looking tired, and then it's like oh, Tom Papa has the same joke. Like Don Rickles has that joke.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a lot of this shit, everybody fucking has a version of this joke.
I'm pretty sure what happened to her was like media smearing her.
Yeah,
you know?
and she got big, so it's like the same with like what's his name, the guy that got big on MySpace, whose early special I also like, who everybody hates.
Was it Dane
Cook?
Really? Yeah.
Well, I think
he's the one you're talking about.
Well, yeah, like where
I didn't know he got big on MySpace.
Yeah. Where it's like he's like the first one to use like social media.
Okay.
But it's similar with her. I think it's just got so big so fast. And then I think with Amy Schumer, a big thing was then she just started focusing on movies and stuff, and then did the thing that you see a lot of them do, where they think they don't have to grind.
Yeah.
You know, but I think her early special was great, and then it drops off because she wasn't going out. You know, you got to go out.
You know what it is like. I never really liked Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
I don't want to offend you.
Oh, you're not going to offend me.
I am
nobody ever. She's like everybody hates her.
Yeah.
But I like went back and rewatched it, and I was like, this is good. It's punchy. She's just like. Seems great.
Yeah,
she was also only like 5 years in or something crazy.
Yeah. I just like I'm real fucking picky when it comes to anything art.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's funny. Like even when I hang out with other comedian friends, right?
Yeah.
Like the few people I have, like I'll be like, you know, we'll talk about whatever. Hey, how was your day? What'd you do today? Oh, that's cool. You know, I'm like really nice, but then like I'm like, man, that set fucking sucked. How would you not quit comedy after that? Like, I'm real critical because I started out in music, so I was really like driven to like perfect in art. You know what I mean? So I'm real hard on myself, and that projects on others. So to me, like, I don't know, like like Dane Cook, I actually really used to like him a lot.
Yeah.
And nothing ruined for me other than like I watched it and I just didn't think it aged well.
Yeah.
Like it's just like not funny to me, you know?
Yeah.
There's just certain things that just don't go along with time, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you mean. Like yeah, and with Amy, like she didn't have you know what's a good comparison is like Joe Rogan. She's funnier than Joe Rogan. But people like really, really love him because of his podcast.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and she also, it was kind of a crazy time for like
what I was trying to get, I'm sorry, what I was trying to get at is like, if Joe Rogan is like, you watch a special and you laugh 50% of the time, I feel like for me, Amy is like 52, but the hate destroyed her. All the media smear destroyed her.
Yeah.
So
I think she's doing great. Actually, I think she tours and she has her fan base that loves her.
Have you seen her recently?
No,
So what's funny is like she had a new show coming out.
Yeah.
And so many comedy clubs I went to, they just had coasters of the show there because she was like promoting on the street.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was she? Is she? So like, I'm sorry, I cut you. I forgot what you were gonna say before.
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead.
No, you were about to say something.
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh my God, shit! I'm sorry.
No.
But so you would say those top three, and like
at the time, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's totally different, but yeah, at the time.
So who is it now?
Favorite comedians?
Top three, yeah.
Oh, I don't know top three.
Is there any like that you like right now, or is there any locals you want to shout out? And either one.
Well, no, probably like favorite comedians that I've seen. I mean, I don't know, the same as everybody, I guess. Dave Attell, Miss Pat, Michelle Wolf, I think is awesome. I don't know.
Did you see Adrian Iapolucci's special?
Oh yeah.
She's like my top three now.
I loved the joke about the kids coming from Ash Wednesday, the school shooting joke.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because they already have targets on their foreheads.
Yeah.
I thought that was.
She's so fucking good.
Yeah.
She's so good. Like, I like her a lot. Like, I would say she was my favorite special. Her and like Colin Terrell were my favorite specials of 2024.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm always watching new shit. But so like you start off at Portland, and then you did this mic, and you said you did 11. Like, when did you like realize that like this is something you want to do?
Oh, after the first one, it was like the best feeling I ever had.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah,
I'm telling you, bro, it's like heroin. Like everybody gets addicted.
Well, that's what when people are like, oh, I want to do it, I don't, and you're just like, just do it, and you'll know.
Yeah. That really is what it is.
Yeah.
And like, I'm only my March is going to be my 3rd year.
Uh-huh.
And what's bothering me is like, I think this is the year where I find my voice.
Yeah.
Because I'm already feeling it. And what I mean by that is I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
Like the whole so to me, it was like the whole first year was about rejection, like be able to take the bomb. Right.
Yeah.
Because to me, like when people like, I've always had like, especially at the vault, because there's like a general audience there. I've had people walk up to me like, what advice could you give for what? And I'd be like, it's like bombing to me is like asking your crush out and being rejected every time.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is like, you can't ask a girl out 300 times a year.
Yeah.
Because that'd be creepy. But you can do that in comedy.
Yeah.
So that's, if you can take that, and then like, the next year for a long time I was like, because of all the shit I was going through, it was like I had so many people telling me, this is not your therapy session. You are going up there and just shitting on everybody that died in your family.
Yeah.
Where's the punchline?
Yeah.
And then I found the balance of number one priority, make people laugh.
Yeah.
Right. But then there was all this, there was this whole other aspect where I was like, who the fuck am I? Because I wasn't happy with myself.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy with, like, even when I hear the name Phil, when people are like, oh, thanks, Phil, I'm like, God, that guy Phil's a scumbag. Like, I couldn't take that name, And I think this is like the first year where I'm just like, what I did is I cut myself off from these cliques I was trying to fit into, just being my fucking self, my own voice.
Yeah.
And that feels so much better.
Yeah.
It feels so much fun. It feels better to be the black sheep because you're like, you fit in a little bit with everybody.
Yeah.
Rather than like living up to someone's fucking expectations.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you like, what do you think made you want to do comedy? Like what, when people say like validation or like they had some like traumatic fucking like what made you think you want to take your life experience and like make it funny?
Oh, it wasn't that. I just had jokes.
You just had jokes.
Yeah, I had just written jokes that I liked.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do with them. I was like, oh, I wrote these jokes.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with them. I should go try them somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then I just got addicted to it, Did you, since you're 9 years in, like, what were your like? Did you ever perform like for people that you like really look up to? Yeah. I mean, opening for Dave Attell and Kyle Kinane those are probably the two biggest ones. Holy that were shit. Like, all right, hosting for Dave Attell.
That's
was really cool.
That's awesome.
And I drove him to McDonald's in my car, and I let him smoke a cigarette in my car, and that was really cool.
He seems like a McDonald's eater.
Yeah, he wanted to go, and then there was like a big long line at the McDonald's, and then he was like, oh, like, because he's just like really nice and apologetic the whole time.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, there's this line. I'm sorry. Now you have to wait in this line. You know, it's probably going to take like 30 minutes. And in my head, I was like, ooh, you have to hang out with me for 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
And he chain smoked, so I knew he wanted to smoke. And I had just gotten my Subaru. It was like a new car to me. And so then, I just knew he wanted to smoke. And I was like, you can smoke in here. And he was like, oh, really? You're cool. And in my head, I was like, worth it. He just said I was cool. Like, that's so awesome.
That's fucking awesome. That really is awesome.
So, yeah, probably Dave Attell smoking a cigarette in my car. And getting, like, Kanane lives in Portland and just hangs out with comics. So just, like, hanging out with him.
Like, right now he does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like after shows and stuff, just being like, oh, I'm comfortable hanging out with him.
Yeah, you know what's funny is like, because, he's from Addison, Illinois. He would just drop by. I think he dropped by twice randomly at the vault.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he is cool like that.
Yeah, I think those are probably the highlights. Those are cool moments.
I have a really funny Kanane story. So like, do you know who Winslow Dumaine is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So before I did comedy, I worked with Winslow at like a shit throwaway job. It was a logistics place.
Yeah.
And I knew Winslow for a while, whatever. So I have a friend. I'm not even gonna mention because I don't know if we had a falling out or some shit. He just is not answering his phone. I haven't talked to him. But my friend, he kind of was a fibber. Like he would just like make up shit to kind of like impress you type shit,
Yeah.
And I remember I was hanging out with him and I was like, hey, so I'm doing stand up now. And the thing is, I knew Winslow is good friends with Kyle because he opened for Kyle in Nebraska and in Illinois.
Yeah.
And so I didn't tell this to my friend. So he's like, oh man, you know Kyle Kanane? I'm like, yeah. What about him? He's like, oh man, he goes to the bar in Addison. He's in Addison. So like we hang out all the time and shit. I'm like, oh really, you do? He goes, yeah man, dude, next time you see Kyle, like make sure like mention my name. Cause I'm like, really? Okay. Cause my friend Winslow is best friends with him. And he lives on the West Coast now. So I'll make sure to have him mention your name. And he's like, oh no, dude, I just think he came in one time. Like he kind of caved in on his lie. Yeah. I was like, dude, get the fuck out of here. You. So, but anyways, well, no, that's fucking awesome. So since it's January, do you have like a resolution for this year? Is there a comedy goal you have?
Ooh, I want to move to New York in the next couple years.
Okay.
So that's probably.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's probably the big one.
What would make you think New York instead of like Austin?
I went to Austin for a month.
Oh, okay.
And it was fine. It was just kind of like it felt like there's like a big bottleneck there because there's so many
people moving there.
Yeah.
So it's oversaturated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me. And and the mics. There's so many comics at the mics, and they're all. Well, I just moved out of Portland because Portland has such a sound to it, and then I wanted to be somewhere that was kind of didn't have where I wasn't in a scene with a point of view, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it felt, especially the open. It felt like there were so many. Listen, I love a rape joke. It was just all these dudes making, and I was like, oh, here, like, rape jokes here are the, like, so I'm non-binary jokes of Portland. Like, you guys
in Austin?
Yeah, like, you guys are just mirrors of each other.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
they're all GRE listeners,
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So it felt like you're just like, you hate each other and you're like the Batman and Joker. Like, you don't realize.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like you don't exist without the other one. You guys are just two sides of the same coin. And I just wanted to be somewhere that was like neutral. Like you say you don't talk about politics. I'm like, I vote and stuff. Like I voted for Harris. I'm a left-leaning person.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't want to be somewhere where the scene, like, I don't want to be somewhere where everything is politically charged either direction.
Yeah, that
all
is
the
true.
time.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to be somewhere we're just telling jokes.
Yeah.
And it felt like as much as Austin wants to be it's like whatever. I don't want to, this is going to be annoying, but like Nietzsche has like I forget what it is. It's like the something, the lion, and the child, I think is the third one. But so it's like at first you do everything, or maybe at first you're the child and then you're the lion and then you're a third thing. But it's like, so the first stage is like, oh, you accept and you do everything you're told to do. And then the next stage is like, oh, you rebel.
Yeah.
And you whatever. And then the third stage is like, oh, you self-actualize.
Yeah.
And you're not responding to anything. You just are.
So it's like conform, rebel, and then you find the balance.
Yeah. Or you just exist. It's not even a balance. You just.
Okay.
It's like, oh,
That's
I'm not I'm not reacting to anything. I just am. And it feels like Portland is the child where it's like, no, we are doing everything that we should. We have all the correct point of views and we have all the whatever. And they're point of views that I agree with, you know. But it's still like, I don't like that you're, it's like, I don't even know what anyone actually thinks.
Yeah.
Because it feels like everybody's just reciting what they should say.
Yeah,
and then,
they're playing their team's side.
Yeah, and then Austin just feels like, oh, we're rebelling against that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to be somewhere that's where people just are. They just exist.
Yeah.
They're not,
just
no
like
one's.
be funny.
Yeah.
That's what the fucking art is. Yeah.
Yeah. And it felt like the vibe in Austin. And I'm sure it's not that way for the professional comics, or you know what I mean? I'm also entering at the open mic level, but I as much as they want to, just be funny, it doesn't feel like that's what you're doing. It feels like actually what you're doing is be whatever pisses this group off.
Yeah.
And I just be funny.
Yeah.
I want to be somewhere where it's just the art. It's not, no one's responding to the internet, basically. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I know what you mean. Because right now, I have this theory that like, that's what, so I don't know if this is because I was like, Polish growing up or like, being like an immigrant, that like, I don't ever remember politics being a big deal. And then I feel like the moment podcasts and YouTube and like independent media developed, places like CNN and Fox were like, holy fuck, we're about to be replaced. And they were like, how can we get people to still be customers? And so this like outrage thing happened. Yeah. And now this is what that is. Yeah. It's like the left and the right are amazing at merch, basically. Yeah. And it's like the other day I was driving one of my friends. She goes to the vault to a mic, and the whole time she's like yapping away about how I can't believe how Trump is actually kind of like half for abortion because he made it at the state level, so he's okay with it. And I'm just like, because you can still think for yourself. Because before somebody is whatever, before they're a politician, before they're a comedian, they're still a fucking human. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like every single person. You know what's actually really funny? This is just a side thing. So I was watching these Nazi documentaries, right? Uh-huh. And I'm trying to write this bit, but it's not polished off. But what's really funny is, I don't know if you know this, but like Hitler was like a really flamboyant, artsy hipster. Yeah. Did you know that? Yeah. And then he tried to get accepted when you try and get accepted to a university, they're like, are you a jock so we could just pass you through? Right. Or are you actually get good grades? But when you go to an art school, you have to like submit a portfolio with your photography or your paintings. And they told him, they're like, you suck at painting. Because they're like, all you paint is landscapes. You suck at painting people. So like, what are you going to fucking do? Just paint postcards? and that infuriated him. And I'm wondering if that board of art people were Jewish. Because what's funny is, like, throughout the documentary, they're saying, like, all the other generals of the Nazis, they're like, shouldn't we be, like, focusing on winning this war? Like, why are you so obsessed with the Jews? Hitler's the only reason why there was concentration camps.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're putting all this money into torturing. You know what I mean? It was like it was flamboyant because it was like this like little aspect or trait of these people you're like overly obsessed and butthurt on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'd be like if I was like, all right, we're going to put all Virgos into concentration, you know?
Yeah.
And these jockey ass generals are just like, what the fuck is with this little guy?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I was going to make a joke. I'm just like, you know, I think I understand why he shot himself, because he was supposed to exterminate homosexuals, and you know, being butthurt for not being accepted to an art school, that's the gayest thing I ever heard. You know? But like, you know, I don't know why the fuck I got on that subject, but I mean, no, you were talking about the politics of like going from Portland to Texas to New York, and I get it. It's just like focus on the art at hand, like what makes the funny.
Yeah.
You know, another thing that's funny to me that a comedian that I love in Chicago, Nick Emeka, you met what he told me, because I was kind of like in this denial of like, you know, should I be dressing like I was like self-conscious how I was dressing.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you know, I want to be myself, and I am myself. I do dress like fucking riffraff all the time.
Yeah.
But is that a distraction on stage? Should I be like this average Joe looking like NPC, like any like Shane Gillis type, you know? And he's like, bro, when you do a good set and you fucking walk out of there, people are going to remember that redneck looking fuck with messed up hair in a pink tracksuit.
Yeah.
How many Shane Gillises are out there?
Yeah.
And if there are that many, you can only be at the top, or people ain't going to fucking remember you.
Yeah.
You know? So you need to truly be yourself.
Yeah.
You know? So
I think that I might need to go to this mic.
Yeah, that's all. It's all good. So thank you for going on the pod.
Thank you so much.
I feel like this was so ADHD. I hope it was fun.
Oh, it was great
because of the debacle today. But
oh yeah, I think it was great.
Yeah.
Very, very fun.
Cool. So yeah. Thank you for coming on.
Yay,
and
thank you for having me. Okay, I also have to pee. Thank you.